You are the dream of generations, a reflection of strength, of courage, of fire. No longer just surviving. You are thriving. You are more than labels, more than borders, more than expectations. You are infinite potential embodied. Own your worth. For every barrier you've broken, for every room you've entered that wasn't built for you, you reshape it. You belong. This is your time to stand taller, to speak louder, to claim space without apology. Own your worth, not just for you, but for the sisters beside you and for the ones still rising. You are power. You are vision. You are unstoppable. Own it. Welcome to Own Your Worth.
And today we mark a new day where we get to choose how we're going to move forward and own our worth. As we were planning for this conference, we decided to intentionally do it the day before the Latina Equal Pay Day so that we create awareness of the stark reality that not only we're not moving forward on this matter, but are actually moving back. Since last year, we've now decreased by 1 cent, now earning 51 cents for every dollar a white man earns. And even though some people may say it's only 1 cent, when you add it up, the impact is exponential, not only impacting ourselves and our families, but the legacy that we're leaving behind for our community and future generations. Which is why many of us Latinas need to literally work twice as hard as anyone else to earn just the same. So today, we all have a choice of either continuing down the same path and doing the same thing for the next 12 months, or to make a stand and choose to do something different, something that will hopefully, when we meet again next year, we can acknowledge Latina Equal Pay Day in the month of September, or who knows, maybe August. Now, many of you don't know what you don't know, and we may want to make a difference on how to move forward. And I get it because that was me 5 years ago. So Sandra, I'm just like thrilled and excited to get this going because today we welcome 18 amazing Latinas and Latinos, thought leaders and change makers that will share what they've been able to make a difference and own their worth.
I love it. I'm so excited. I'm already seeing some wonderful comments coming in. This is going to be an amazing day. I hope you guys are grabbing your pens and getting your notepads and really going to harness and take in all of the wonderful gold that's going to be dropped today. The gold, because that is what we are. We are golden. And we have so much to talk about today. So we were talking about owning our worth. And what does that actually mean to own your worth? Juliana, what does it mean to you?
I think for me and what I've learned from you and actually many of our thought leaders here today, it's basically just to believe in it starts with believing in ourselves, with believing in our power and the possibility of anything that we can accomplish and not set ourselves to other people's expectations, because that is what many of us sometimes are told that we need to do. And no, we have a voice. We have a voice to claim whatever we believe is our work, our power, the possibility of what we can accomplish.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Please share in the comments. What does it mean to you to own your worth? And we actually have a pack today with some prizes even. So what are some, we have a lot of prizes, guys, for today. So get ready to win some good stuff. Here we go. We are giving away some books. We got some $50 Amazon cards because we believe in sharing and contributing and supporting everyone. We have memberships and we have some merch at our store. So this is going to be exciting. In order to win those prizes, we put a post on social media. You should see it. And we want you to comment below on that post. Please share, what does it mean to you? Answer the question that's in the post. If you are interested in winning a premium membership or one of the memberships, certainly please let us know that so we know to pick winners, because we're going to start picking winners from our first break. So
And also,
exciting,
very
exciting.
importantly, we have a virtual photo booth because we want to be sharing, right? So on the chat, I just dropped a link where you can take a selfie, and then you can also repost that on social media. We'll also be through sharing all those photo booths, those selfies throughout the session here today as well. So let's interact. That link is there on the chat, and we'll be posting it as well throughout. And then finally, we're excited. We're not only going to hear from all of these amazing speakers, but the winners for the Extraordinary Latina Awards. We're going to hear who they are later today. So stay on the lookout for that as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And today's a day of community. So make sure you're sharing your social handles in the chat, connect with one another. LinkedIn is the place.
Instagram.
And Instagram.
And Instagram. So
So
yes, both of those. We're also going live on YouTube. So if by any means you need to like sort of jump off, you can also check us out there or share with others and let them know that the party is here. Awesome. Okay. Was that everything that we had to say before we
I think
bring
so.
on
I think
our
we're ready for
first
our
speaker?
I think we are ready for our first speaker. So exciting.
Awesome. Okay, so we are excited to open this conversation with Ana Valdez, the CEO, president of the Latino Donor Collaborative, who's here with us today. Very dear friend, amazing Latina powerhouse that continues to influence and share the numbers, because we need to start with the numbers, right? To be able to know where do we stand and how do we move forward, we need to know, because data is power, information is power. So Ana, kick us off
Thank
today.
you. Thank you, dear Ileana and Sandra, for having me. It is such an honor. You both know that I'm a humongous fan of what you do. United Latinas was so needed, and you came to really illuminate us all. And so it's an honor to be here. I know that everybody that is in the audience agrees with me, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful for everything that you do. So yeah, you want to talk about numbers? You know that I'm the chief nerd per excellence. So I'm happy to share that with you all.
Absolutely. And especially because you just released several reports as every year, and you're confirming information that we've started to see the trends as well. So take us away, illuminate the
Absolutely.
path.
Well, to start with, I think, I will give you the updates of the numbers, which is really, I'm really excited. And I also want to tell you about this new report that we did, the first one of its kind. So anyway, lots of things to share. To start with, we continue driving the growth in this country. And I'm going to tell you why. According to all of our research, and I'm going to give you a little briefing of all of our reports together, right? But I'm going to start with the Latino GDP, which tells us the numbers, right? What we are doing, not that, nobody's saying, nobody's like, witnessing. No, we're talking about official numbers from the United States government at all levels. So according to the latest report, Latinos GDP produced in the United States grew 14% to $3.6 trillion. And the $1 trillion are important because that would make us the fifth largest economy in the world if we Latinos in the US were a country by ourselves. And what does that mean? That only the United States overall, China, second place, third place, Germany, fourth place, Japan, fifth place would be the Latino GDP. So imagine that if you are thinking about the economy globally, right? Latinos in the United States are producing more than the whole country of the whole country of England, the whole country of France, Russia, Canada, Brazil, you name it. Any other of the rest of the countries is smaller than the GDP that we're producing. And what's more important is that the trend is scandalous, as I say, because we actually, out of those top 10 economies, we actually would be the second fastest growing. Only China would be growing faster than us. And when I say growing, is growing not only demographically, but economically, right? And in upward mobility and in achievements, etc. So, imagine that we are growing. We in the United States are approximately 65 million people, and we're producing $3.6 trillion. Well, India is 1.4 billion people, and they produce less than us. So to what, Sandra and Eliana were saying at the beginning, we got to start owning our rights. We got to start owning our power. Please put these numbers in your DNA and start acting like them, because you are producing, $3.6 trillion, which would mean that we are the largest economy in the world. Imagine, I don't know if you've seen, I actually had a meeting with them yesterday, but I don't know if you've seen that movie that is called A Day Without a Mexican. So just imagine a day without Latinos in this country and the money that that would mean for this economy. So that's really, really, really important. And the greatest thing, as I said before, is that the growth doesn't come only from demographics. And by the way, it doesn't come from immigration, because starting 2007, given the very harsh deportation movement, but also the economic crisis, Latinos actually are not really the largest immigrant community to the United States. It's basically Asians are the largest immigrant community in the United States starting 2007, and other countries, but Latin America is not. So this growth actually is coming, first of all, from kids being born in the United States. So imagine that next generation of Latinos is American, they speak English as their first language, and they don't have to deal with the problems that their parents had to deal with. So imagine if the parents build the fifth largest economy in the world, imagine what their kids will do. It's crazy. So that's very important. But the second part also is that growth in numbers of dollars is coming from upward mobility, because we are the largest entrepreneurs, the community that builds at least 52% every year of all the new businesses, right? We also are the biggest, home buyers of new homes in this country. Even though we're only 20, well, not only, but we're 20% of the population in this country, we're buying more than 55% of all the new homes. So that tells you how Latinos are really climbing the ladder of economic achievement. And so, imagine that somebody came to your business. Most of you are business owners in this group. Imagine that somebody came to you and said, I'm going to bring you some information that will actually get you access to the community that is actually producing not only so much in GDP, but also consuming more than 25% of all the new products. Crazy, right? So these numbers are important, that you spread the word, that you own them, that you actually really make them part of all your conversations, because these numbers are meant to do growth, not only for us Latinos and Latinas, obviously in this chat, but for every American. When we grow, we bring everybody along. We grow the pie, right? You know that, Ileana, because you've experienced that many times.
Absolutely, and I think it's really important, all the numbers that you shared, because I've heard them in many forums, but the amount of people that we really know these numbers still is very,
Yeah.
like, I don't think we get to 1,000 people that know these numbers, right? And
Well,
these numbers are, well, I don't know, but my point is, all of us here need to know these numbers and the implications of how we can use these numbers to then move forward, right?
yeah.
Especially what you're saying for our kids to be able to understand the power of their purse, the power of their purchasing power, and of owning, their worth. So as from a youth perspective, and from, you talk in a lot of different forums, in a lot of different spaces, in a lot of different industries, like,
Yeah.
how are you seeing the needle moving, and what can we all do here so that next year things will
Absolutely.
start to move like really forward.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I think, we are moving fast. I mean, you've heard probably the report that we did with the Society of Latino Engineers, right? In 2010, 4% of all the students of engineering were Latinos. In 2021, 16%. So 4 times more just in 11 years. So we are moving fast, but we need to move faster. You're right. And that's what I was talking about this latest report that we are so happy. So it came from exactly, we saw that these kids were graduating in record numbers. And like, how can some community just, grow 4 times in 11 years? And so we went to Kantar. Lots of you have worked with Kantar, which is the largest market research company in the world. And we said, Kantar, we need you to tell us who are the people that we are talking about? Who are the faces to these numbers? And so they did this report. But what would be our surprise that as we were doing it, all these brands came to us and they said, we want to be part of it. You can tell the interest. You can tell how those leading brands just know where the growth is coming from and they want to know more. So we ended up doing this report with L'Oreal, Colgate-Palmolive, Capital One, and Univision. We had to reject other brands, but it was too many people already, so we couldn't. But imagine the interest of brands, right? So let me tell you 2 or 3 things that we discovered. First of all, we discover, and by the way, you can download all these reports from our website for free because we have a very generous board of directors that allow us to do that. So, and we're a nonprofit, so we can do that. So, but let me tell you that, so I think one of the greatest things that we saw were the difference between Latino youth and their parents. And the other one is the difference between Latino youth and their peers, Gen Xers, Gen Zers, Gen Alphas. So I'm going to give you a little briefing. So the difference with their parents, and I see it because I have kids that age, and I can totally see it. First of all, I was grown with Calladita te ves más bonita. So I am a very outspoken Latina, but at the same time, I'm probably one of the few. And then another thing is that I'm not spoken enough. I think I need to be even more outspoken. And what we found is that these kids are not. These kids are not like us. They're telling us, why are you high? So I remember we were presenting this in JP Morgan, and one of these ladies came to me and she said, oh my God, she was crying. And she said, this morning, my daughter was saying, Mom, why are you using your married name? Because, her husband is American, as white. Said, why are you using your maiden, the name of my dad, if you can use yours, and you should be very proud, Garcia. And she said, what the numbers that you're saying, we're seeing it. And it's true. Like, they are very proud. They are very outspoken. They know the space that their parents have earned in this world and they claim it. And they're unapologetically Latinos, 200ers, like we call it, 100% American and 100% Latinos. And they never have to choose. They believe nobody has to choose. And that's something that is really powerful that we found all over and over again. I'm going to give you an example. So, we were all, it's like the La Cámaras de Gesell of the old times. Now it's like on Zoom. And so all the brands were looking, and there was this interviewer from Kantar talking to a kid. He was 18 years old, kind of on the underserved side, and he is going to college. And so he said, I need a computer. And the interviewer said, what kind of computer? And he's going to buy an Apple. And the interviewer said, why an Apple? Apple is such an expensive brand. And he said, because I did my research and I noticed that Apple is the only computer company that has one Latina on the board and 2 Latinos on C-suite. And I'm going to support that brand.
And I think that's very important. Yes.
Right? It's like we looked around, it's like, these are the kids that were actually, waiting for, for them to be in the workforce because they'll change the world.
And you're absolutely right. We need to be very intentional about the things that we do, about the brands that we purchase, about the places that we go to, or the people that we support, because they can make a difference not only in the moment for us, but also, to your point, like moving forward because of the efforts that they're doing and that they're also being intentional in helping the community. So this is like, when we help each other, magic can happen, but
Yeah.
we need to make that effort of doing our research or of looking out for who is really walking the talk, because not everybody is walking the talk. And as we get to, very close to certain important decisions that we all have to make in a couple of weeks, I think that is part of also recognizing these own our worth, right? Own our worth in the power of our vote, own our worth in the power of everything that we do as of today. Like I said at the beginning, today we have the power to choose. So what's next, Anna? What can we look forward to?
Absolutely. So we are going, so this, as I said, that this probably has been one of the happiest surprises of this year for us, right? First of all, the greatest thing was that we dedicated the whole year to kids, to our young Latinos. And then every result that we find is fascinating. And so we plan on continuing doing this. We're actually going to work with the brands, not only this brands, but other brands, but mainly these brands it was amazing. I mean, you really understand how L'Oreal and all those other brands are, first in the world because they do know what they're doing. And so we want to, guide them. We want to be guided by them too, because they know they invest millions of dollars in research. So that's next for us. And we want to bring you, next year, we want to bring to you and to your audience all these numbers as to how to use this, right? So, for example, we've noticing that in this difference that I told you about, which is like, how are Latinos different now from other Gen Alphas or Gen Zers? Latinos want to, to do very well. And the reason why we're seeing these Latinos so powerful is because they have the best of both worlds. They are not your typical first generation that gets a little comfortable, a little less ambitious, a little bit, more, I don't want to say it, but like comfortable. Let's leave it there. No, these kids are not. Our youth has been, unfortunately, subjected to many things, the rhetoric, the negativity, the stereotyping, even some political people, just really saying horrible things about the parents of these kids, right? The immigrants that came here and threatening them, et cetera, et cetera. So they are actually, they have the best of both worlds. They have the motivation of the parents. They have the motivation of making their parents' sacrifice worth it, but they also have all these tools, English, confidence, this generation where they saw the George Floyd movement, where they've seen a lot of other things that have inspired them and empowered them. So we're going to actually, and I cannot release this incredible project that we have for next year, but we're going to continue working with them. We're going to tell you even more on how to actionate, and how to really, make decisions, implement this knowledge. And we're just very thrilled to be discovering this cohort. We are thrilled with the interest on this cohort, and we can't wait to share more for next year. Oh, but wait, I need to tell you something. If we all want to change that narrative, those stereotypes, that rhetoric, we have to activate, to raise our voice with media. Because another one of our reports measures the participation of Latinos in English media, and it continues being very, very low. Only 3% of all the leading roles in media are Latinos, and half of them are negative. Half of them are Narcos and Queen of the South and Mayan Sensi and Griselda and all these horrible portrayals. You know what? It's okay to tell those stories when you have other stories also, but it's not okay to tell only those stories. The Menendez brothers, the fifth version of the Menendez brothers, right? I mean, there's no reason for that. Each one of us in this talk, each one of you in the audience have a story that should be told on TV and on film. Why? Because other communities have their stories being told in all the spectrum of society, except us. So if we want to change that, if we want the power of our voice, if we want to change the rhetoric, if we want to unite into one narrative, which is the narrative that I just told you with numbers, which is the real narrative, we need to use our power, the power of our voice, the power of our letters, the power of our purse when you and your pocket when you actually are going to buy a brand that represents you or not, right? There's actually, I'm not going to say brands, but there are brands that actually do that fabulously, and there are others that are horrible. We're invisible basically for them, but they love our money though. We buy 20% of their product, but they just don't have us. We're good for our money, but we're not good for the photo. right? So we need to make them know, and we need to know with letters. We need to make them know with the power of our purse. Again, don't buy those brands. Just don't buy them. Like the kid from the Apple, decision making, right? And so, do that, use the power of your vote, because that's your voice politically. If you say, no, I won't vote because it makes no difference, it does make a difference. And that's how many other communities that we know, right, have been empowered, because they've actually united into using that voice. So you have the opportunity in 2 weeks to actually use that voice. Please use it. Encourage your parents and your family and your kids to use it, because it is extremely important. We're releasing a report on how Latinos have changed the vote in the last 40 years, and media does not cover it. We've changed not only California, which you know very well, but we've changed, and for different parties, by the way. We've changed California for, to become Democratic, but we also changed Florida to become Republican. The power of our vote is extremely important. You need to use it. So with that, yes, please, thank you. Use our numbers for that, to have your voice. Your voice is well documented. You are amazing, and you're driving the growth, and you already earned the place on the decision-making table.
That's amazing. Drop the mic right there.
Beautiful.
Right? That is awesome. Thank you so much,
Amazing.
Ana, for being here, for sharing those numbers, because knowledge is power, and we just need to know how we're going to make very educated decisions, so that whatever we believe in, so that we have a legacy to move forward, but based on educated decisions. So thank you so much, Ana.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Ana.
Again, to your audience, please go to latinodonorcollaborative.org, download all of our reports. We also have infographics that just summarize all this information. So you don't have to read the whole report. They're big, they're long, they're very good and very reliable, but they're big. So please do that. And we actually started a new campaign for young people to know these numbers, and it's called Elevate Latinos. Please encourage yourselves, please follow us, but also encourage your kids, all the young people around you, to just learn the facts, and again, incorporate it into everything that you do. And thanks again to both of you, Ileana and Sandra, for everything that you do. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Awesome. Okay, so that's got us started really strong with knowing where we stand, and we're going to continue on this theme on how do we own our worth, how do we own our power. And I want to call on our next panelists here to start your video. Cynthia Kleinbaum and Laura Moreno Lucas, we're just so excited to have you here and talk about how do we build generational wealth? How do we claim our economic power as a community, right? We just heard the numbers, $3.2 trillion, but it feels like we can't even get like 10 cents out of our purse. So it's just like this contradicting information, right? We have immense power, but we don't know how to own it. And especially as I think about being a Latina, right? I like my dad invested, but it wasn't something that I really understood. And once I got into the US, there's so many things that we can do, but we don't know about what we don't know. So I would love to start hearing from you. Like, how can we harness this power to create that lasting wealth and shift that mindset that we truly own this power? Would love to start with you, Laura.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. I was so inspired after Ana's discussion. She's an incredible asset to our community. She's an incredible uplifter of Latinas. I actually know her because she is a key CEO of Latina Donor Collaborative, which was commissioned by Sol Trujillo. And Sol Trujillo is he's a change maker, and he's the one who started Latitude Ventures, where I'm a partner at Latitude Ventures, and we deploy capital into investing into US Latino and Latinas. And so when I think about how we start to create wealth and how we start to really expand our opportunities, it really starts with us getting involved and understanding what is financial wealth. when I was young, you know, I come from Guadalajara. I was born and raised in Guadalajara, Mexico. And, you know, my parents, as many probably on this call, work tirelessly and put their money in a savings account that didn't return very much. But that was what we wanted to see. We wanted to see how that savings account would grow very incrementally, and you wouldn't want it to go down any amount, because if it went down a certain amount, we're in the hole, we're in trouble, you know, our little savings. I had an opportunity after I graduated from college to enter the financial world as an entry-level person. I was just an operations clerk. But what that did for me personally, it opened my eyes to what wealth was, because I saw millions and millions and millions of dollars flowing through what we call Wall Street. And I was shocked. I was shocked that people had that kind of money to invest in the stock market, to invest in all kinds of different assets. While, you know, on the other side, I was at home trying to save, you know, $5,000 in my savings account. And that was really the change in my life, because that allowed me the opportunity to understand that there is a world out there where people are using money to build and create wealth. And it's really understanding that really gave me the opportunity to start investing. Now, I still get pushback from my parents when I ask them to give me money out of their savings account so I can invest it in the stock market. They're like, how much have you grown for me? But no, it's a cultural shift. It's a mind shift. And especially now, as Latinas are the ones that are driving 1.3 trillion in GDP, that is like incredible to know that we are the drivers, not only the drivers of GDP, but 1 in 5 Latinas are creating small businesses, and we're growing 10 times faster. And I have the proof points because I am an investor in those startups and Latinas that, Ana was talking about earlier. On some of the people that we invest in are like nopalera, products that we use that are Latino, that we are driving and growing. So that's just a start. I think it starts with getting involved, understanding financial wealth, and really kind of shifting your mind from, hey, I need these $5,000 in my savings account, to where can I put these $5,000, and understanding your risk for that to grow it in another capacity.
I love that. And we're definitely going to come back to that part from an entrepreneur perspective, because I know that many of our audience here have some sort of small business, which shouldn't stay small. We should just call it a business. So we're going to come back to that. But Cynthia, you come from like a completely different angle. So would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, well, I come from the angle of somebody that has received a paycheck and have not invested it for a long time. And recently, in the past 3 years, I actually joined a fintech company, and I started to become much more educated on how to build wealth while you sleep, how to make your money work for you, which is so important. And there's something so liberating when you feel like you're financially free, and when you feel like you have a cushion, that it is something that we have to instill in our girls, the younger generation, but even women later in their career that haven't invested their money. It's crazy. We live in a country that makes it really easy for everybody to participate in wealth creation through the stock market. In Latin America, it wasn't common, right, to invest your money. It was very common to just save your money. So I think just giving all of us the basics of, you have to have a budget, you have to pay off your interest rate first, you have to save for your retirement. There's like rules that are pretty basic that I wish everybody knew. For example, this is a generalization, right? But you should use 50% of what you have of what you earn in your needs, 30% in your wants, and then 20% you're supposed to invest it. And actually 15% should go to your retirement, and then 5% to play with it if you want to invest, if you want to find like the next GameStop, or if you want to invest in crypto. But I hear so many times people saying, oh, I'm going to invest in crypto. Well, and how is your emergency fund? I don't have one. Well, crypto shouldn't be your emergency fund. So we need our Latinas to understand these basic concepts. And luckily, I know like this is a little crazy to say it, but it is true. You can learn it on TikTok. You can learn it on social media if you find somebody trustworthy. There's a very good influencer. I'm gonna find it while Laura speaks. I'm gonna find her name and I'll put it in the chat, because you don't have to have a professional financial planner that is gonna take like a cut for your investments. If you just have a little bit, you can start. There are apps like Acorns where if you save your change, people suddenly find themselves with tens of thousands of dollars of money that they would have spent, and it got automatically saved. Or there's apps for everything. So I'll just add some of these links for people to know what to do to start saving a little bit. And I just did a little calculation while we were doing this. If I had, with the day that I started working, I had saved $100 every month, and I had put it in the stock market, just S&P 500, nothing crazy. I don't have to know where to invest. I would have $81,000 today. So there's like the compounding benefit of investing. It's like magic. Okay, that's it.
I love a lot of the things that you said, and I know that we're going to come back to them. But I want to go to the fact that a lot of what you say starts with the fear of I'm going to lose it, right? Because you're talking about all of these things that, you can go into the apps, or you can, invest here or do this. But we hear also so many stories that go wrong, that I had this amount of money and suddenly like I don't have anything. And I know, Laura, you and I were talking about these fears, right? That especially as small business owners, we want to grow our business, but we still have that mentality of I'm not going to invest, or I'm not going to, like, literally lo que tengo abajo del colchón, right? Like the little things that I have is what I'm going to use. And therefore that limits us to be able to grow our businesses. And you were saying earlier, right? As small Latinas are building businesses 10 times faster than any other. But from what I've heard, and I don't have the numbers, you guys have the numbers. And I think we just lost Laura, and I was going to ask her the question. But anyways, Cynthia.
Yes.
While we get Laura back, you were talking about some apps and
Yes.
a way to invest. And I want to call on something that you said very importantly. Throughout your career, like your corporate career, it was not something that you were intentionally doing, from understanding all of these other ways to invest your money. And I want to call on that because it's never too late. I think
Yes.
sometimes we feel like it is what it is, and that's for somebody else. It's not for me. How do we shift that mindset of taking the risk of saying, it doesn't matter what age I have, like there's always that ability for me to start building
Yes.
wealth?
Well, I mean, you have to educate yourself. There's no shortcut for that. Not even like you can hire a personal finance advisor and they can steal from you. So you have to educate yourself. I'll also link here a book that I recommend people read, where it gives you all the actually a list of apps to use for what. And if you educate yourself, you're gonna be able to make better decisions. I would say also diversify. Like most of the horror stories that you hear are from people that put all of their money in one investment that is a risky investment. And I mean, it's if we have all these entrepreneurs and they're making money, I imagine they care about making money. So why not make your money work for you? If they understood that their money, instead of sitting in a savings account, could be generating much more if they were in a high yield savings account, or if they were in a more sophisticated, like in an index, I think they're going to be very happy to see that they don't have to work to make money. Sometimes your money can make money for you.
Absolutely. Laura, you're back.
Yeah. It happened. I apologize, but good thing.
No, Where you're here, you're here. I wanted to ask you because you talked about, and many of our audience here have, I know that have their own small businesses and they're working hard. And you said it yourself, like as Latinas, we are growing businesses 10 times faster than any other group, which means that we have the grit, we have the resilience, we have what it takes. But still, many of these businesses don't even hit the 6-figure, right? They're doing less than that in a year, and that's not then helping to this. And a lot of it is from fear of investing, from fear or of making things like work from them from a wealth perspective, because again, we don't have that mindset. So what have you seen, and how do we overcome that fear? How do we bridge it so that we can then realize that we can grow our businesses, sky high?
Yeah. No, thank you for that question. And just kind of piggyback on some of the comments earlier. So my background has been in the financial industry. As I mentioned to you guys earlier, I started on Wall Street. I left Wall Street in 2009 and started my own company called Latida. After starting Latida, which was a fashion subscription service that I sold to Stitch Fix. So Stitch Fix then grew to become a publicly traded company that IPO'd on NASDAQ. So when you think about that, for me, I am one of the few Latinas that was able to be in the financial industry, have a company, sell the company, see the company, then go on the public stock exchange. Ironically, I worked for NASDAQ over the last 5 years and took some of the largest companies public, from Zoom to Airbnb to Lyft. What I can tell you as a former founder and as someone who saw the highest level in the capital markets going public is that there were 20 women ever in the history of Wall Street to go public, and only one Latina. And one Latina was Jessica Alba. So, I mean, that right there tells you the issue that we have, not only as women founding companies and getting them to scale, but as Latinas to only have one exit in the history of Wall Street. So after that experience, I left, and I knew I had to do something to help support other Latina founders to shift in their mindset, to understand what it takes to grow a business and get to the highest level of, whether it's an acquisition, whether it's an exit, or whether it's to even just start. How does it work? So that's what I do today. Every single day, I talk to small businesses. I talk to founders that are Latino and Latina to help them understand, how do you go out and start to raise money? How do you start to go and grow your company and get to all those levels that get you to an IPO? It's very difficult. But what I will tell you, the mindset that you have at the beginning of starting a company is the same mindset that you will have at the end or at an exit. It all starts with you. It all starts with your passion, understanding, and education of what you want to build. And that is something that I think as Latinas, we have more than anyone else in the world. I have seen just in the past 3 years, so many unbelievably, incredibly talented Latinas that overshadow any Steve Jobs, any Elon Musk. The education and the drive and the opportunity that we have to build these companies is unbelievable. There's not enough capital that we are getting to grow the companies. So what have I been doing? I am connecting them to capital resources. I'm helping them understand, do you need venture capital? Do you need small business? Do you, SBA loan? Do you need an angel investor? So it's understanding that world of capital and how you can tap into it. Because believe me, the men and the other people that are in Silicon Valley are doing that already. So we need to understand how to tap into that to build and grow our small businesses. And I would just say, in terms of, investing, like I was saying earlier, there's opportunities where you have $5,000 and you want to invest in you should look, if you want to invest in small businesses, in Latinas, in opportunities like a Nopalera, which I'm on the board of. That is a great opportunity where you can make an impact and grow. It just depends on when you want to see that money come back, right? And there's risks behind all of it. So I would say in anything, there's an incredible amount of information online that you can learn from. But please, I do believe, just because I've been on Wall Street all my life, I believe in somebody that's, a financial advisor, just because there's many opportunities to have somebody that doesn't charge, I can be a resource to you. I'm happy to, be resources. I think it's very important to understand risk and how you want to invest. There's a lot of publicly information, but I think having, a financial advisor is really important as well.
Absolutely. And there are many, many Latina financial advisors that have a wealth of knowledge. I know that we have many today here with us, many as part of United Latinas community. So don't feel like you all have to have the answers. You just need to know who to reach out. And if we support each other, like Ana said at the beginning, right? Supporting each other, that's how we're all going to rise. So that's really important. Cynthia, we're coming to the end of this conversation, which I feel like we already talked about it. Like we need to have a part 2 separate, because we need all of this wealth of wealth and wealth of knowledge. What do you suggest? You've already given us some tips in terms of things that we can start doing in Synapse, and I know that you've already dropped some great information on the chat. But for those of us that still don't understand the lingo, that are still having our savings a little bit here, a little bit abajo de la almohada, abajo del colchón, what do you suggest could be a good next step, especially as we think about 2025, because we need to invest in ourselves to make our money work for us?
I mean, the first thing is be comfortable with the language. Don't be scared about the language. Since I don't come from the financial world, I can sympathize with everybody that feels like this is a system that was created to confuse us. So we have to pay somebody to do it. So find a way to get information that is easy to understand. I linked a book that people can read. It's not very hard, but it is created for legal reasons, or maybe somebody really mean made this difficult to understand. I don't know. So just find a source of information that you can understand. The second one, and Laura mentioned it, is ask for help in your network. If you go at it alone, let's say that you're an entrepreneur, how do you know how to value your company? And unfortunately, Latinas we were told not to ask for a lot, not to negotiate for ourselves. Find somebody that's going to teach you and that wants to help you. And I think there's a lot, and I know there's going to be a list here that you guys are going to put together. So that would be my advice.
Thank you. Thank you both so much. Laura, any final words?
I agree with Cynthia. I think it's continuing to be curious, ask questions, reach out to your networks. I've just started an organization called Libra Leaders, where it's women who are interested in learning about investing and investing in Latinas. So I have incredible founders that are building businesses, that are, creating these opportunities, and I will also educate you on how to invest in them. And it's Libra Leaders, and we have a LinkedIn, we have a website if you're interested in learning more. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are going to be sending all of these resources when we send you a thank you email for participating here with us today. We're going to be sending links and to all of these resources so that we all have, because sharing is caring. Also, Cynthia, Laura, there are some questions for you in the Q&A section. I know we need to move on to our next speaker, but would appreciate if you can answer those. Thank you so much for being here with us, for kicking us off with this wealth of information so that we can own our worth and own our wealth. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you. Gracias.
Gracias. How was that, Sandra?
Amazing, amazing. Why aren't we investing more? Don't be scared of the language. Do some research. Be willing to take risks. This is pivotal, right? This is pivotal in our understanding and knowledge of building wealth, right? Everybody here wants to build a legacy. Everybody here wants to build wealth. But these are the practical experiences and insights that we need in order to tenerle esa gana to say, you know what, screw it. You may win, you may lose, right? But having that risk attitude and having that willingness to try something new is only going to teach you something at the end of the day. And we need to be in that mindset versus I'm going to save everything here under my pillow or in the bank. If it's not collecting it, if it's not a high interest bank, then what's it in there for, right? So we need to be smart about the banks we choose también to put our money in. So great insight. I love it. I love it.
And if you're not only already a member, because I know that I see a lot of members here, join United Latinas, because one of our tracks is building your wealth. And we have a continuous series of webinars, of workshops to be able to share all of this information with you as well. So thank you so much. And we are now going to call on our next speaker.
Well, we have a break. I think we have a
we
quick...
know. We do?
Yes, we do.
Know. Okay, then we have a quick break.
We have to do. And we're going to announce a winner. We're going to pick a winner because so many comments are coming in. So many beautiful comments that you guys are posting on our LinkedIn and on Instagram. It's like back and forth. So we definitely want to pick a winner out of those comments.
Okay.
And I would
let's
say
pick a winner. And I can see a lot of pictures here also of people that are taking their selfies as well. So that is amazing. I just can't see their names. I can just see their pictures. So, but we'll be posting those as well. So
okay. All right. So let's pick our first winner. I think this person took the time to write out a nice long thing, and it was so you can sense the passion. Nosotros somos con pasión, right? Like we approach things with so much passion, and what she had written is like long and put some heart into it. So I think definitely deserving of our first giveaway prize. Liliana, you can pick what prize that is. But Rosa Maria Salas, if you are here, you are definitely winning a prize.
Amazing. So Rosa Maria Salas will be contacting you. Congratulations. We'll be contacting you so that we can then send you the first gift that we're giving away today. We have so many exciting gifts. So congratulations and thank you for pairing and continue to share, because we're going to continue to give things away because it's a day of celebration. Awesome. Okay. Awesome. So
a break is over.
Her break is over. We're off to the next, and I want to call on Sil Curiati, who is going to be our amazing next speaker. Yay, Sil. Thank you so much for being here with us, for being one of our Power Talk speakers, and the virtual floor is all yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's such an honor to be here today speaking with so many powerful, resilient, brilliant women who, like me, have walked paths full of challenges, triumphs, and lessons that have shaped us into who we are today. Women who want to become better at negotiating for themselves, as Cynthia pointed out so well. I just heard that and I thought it was very well said. Thank you, Ileana, Sandra, and United Latinas for having me. I want to start by reminding us of something very important that usually we take for granted. We all have a walk. We've gone through a lot of things, hard, painful experiences, and yet we're here, standing up strong. So let me tell you, or hopefully just remind you, your walk is incredible. It is brilliant, absolutely fascinating. But why do we keep forgetting about it? Why do we tend to think that other people's stories are better or worth telling, while ours are not? Because we are not used to talking about our walks the way we should, with pride. Most Latinas have been raised in our own collective culture of humbleness and humility, where talking about ourselves equals bragging. And can you imagine you bragging? Por favor, no, not me. I don't brag. And a fun fact about our brain is that in the same way it creates new synapses as we learn new things and apply those new learnings to our lives, it also deletes synapses that are never used. That is why we forget many things we learned at school as children. So not talking about yourself, about your walk, will only lead you to less talking about you, about forgetting about your walk. And because we are here under this critical topic of owning our worth, I connected it to what I daily do with my clients and ask you, do you know how to own your worth and share your unique story with confidence and pride to others? If you don't, start today. It's never, ever too late. I know that talk your walk is not so simple, but it is definitely transformative. Our walks, our pasts, our experiences, and our paths are often scattered with ambiguities, moments of joy, pain, and everything in between. And while many of us have this beautiful walk, we don't always know how to talk about it. We don't always know how to use our stories to advocate for ourselves, whether it's in a job interview, a pitch, a conversation with a friend, or even, and probably, what happens most times is in front of the mirror, talking to yourself. We don't know how to do that properly. Here is the thing. Your story is not fragmented. Many Latinas come to me saying, well, my story is very fragmented because I do a lot, I've done a lot. Sometimes I have 2 jobs, I'm working on my career, but I also have this sidekick here. I take care of family, I take care of children, I take care of the elderly. We do a lot, especially Latinas. So we tend to think our stories are fragmented, but in fact, it is a masterpiece in progress. Every ambiguity, every learning, every time you thought, I can't do this, but then somehow did it anyway, it's all part of your narrative. But here is where sometimes we get stuck. We spend so much time talking about where we've been and not enough time talking about where we're going. Yes, your past is part of your why. But your storytelling should ultimately be about what you're building, about the future you're stepping into. But how do we do this? Well, first, we need to let go of the idea that we are imposters. I joined a bit late, so I don't know if you talked about this already. It's something that I'm passionate about because I think that this shift of mind helps us a lot. I know many of us have heard the term imposter syndrome and have used it with ourselves, which is that creeping feeling of not being good enough, like we are frauds in our own lives. But I want to challenge that notion. Imposter syndrome is a fallacy. What really exists is the imposter phenomenon. That's the expression that was coined by Pauline Clance. She never thought about syndrome. She talked about phenomena. There is a subtle yet profound difference. A syndrome suggests something is wrong with us, something inherently flawed. But a phenomenon, it's happening outside. It's happening in the world, in the society, not in the individual. It's a matter of fixing the system and the structural discrimination, not fixing you. It's a problem that ultimately is not ours to solve. Those who created it should be fixing it, men. This little shift in language can change everything. By reframing the language, you open up a whole new spectrum of solutions. And that brings me to my final point today. It's a short power talk, which is the power of word choice. Ladies, we need to be smarter about the words we use to talk about ourselves, both with others and to ourselves. If you have a business, don't you try to find the best possible words to sell it to the people? That's marketing, right? We all do that very well with our businesses. Why would you do otherwise when it comes to yourself? However, our internal dialogue, that little voice in our head, can often be our harshest critic. How many times have you caught yourself saying things like, I'm not good enough, or I don't deserve this, or, oh, who did I think I am? And then you turn around and give a friend advice that's so uplifting and so empowering, as if it comes naturally. Well, because it does. You have it in you and you give it to others, you save it to others, and you do use it with yourself. Why are we so kind to others, yet so cruel to ourselves? This is a reflection that I always want to remind my clients and the women surrounding me. The words we choose shape our reality. If you keep telling yourself you're an imposter, you start to believe it. So if you tell yourself you're worth it, that you're capable, that you worked hard for everything you have, well, then you start to believe that too. Your brain is smart and wants to protect you. It is easier for your brain to assimilate the language that it is used to. So if you're always harsh with yourself, whenever you hear criticism outside, your brain will pay a lot of attention to it. It will absorb it, almost ignoring the compliments, because compliments are a language he is not used to, or your brain is not used to. So it is time to be intentional about the language we use, to start talking to ourselves like the queens we are. So how do we start? How do we begin to truly own our worth? I would say number one is talk the walk. Embrace your story. Understand your why and reflect on your journey. But remember that while your past shapes you, it doesn't define where you're going. You are allowed to change your mind. Number two, ditch the imposter syndrome. It's just a phenomenon, not a permanent condition. You are not an imposter. You deserve every wonderful thing that comes your way. And last but not least, choose your words wisely. Be intentional with how you speak to yourself. Build yourself up with the same love and respect you give to others. Ladies, you are powerful. You are enough. You have worked hard to get where you are, and you deserve to own every single part of that journey. So today I challenge you. Talk your walk. Claim your worth. And never, ever let anyone, including that voice in your head, tell you and others a different story about yourself. Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I love the idea of talking our walk, because normally it's like walk your talk, but you're absolutely right. Our words are powerful and they help us move forward. Thank you so much, Sil. I've dropped all your information on the chat. You're very generous with all the gifts that you're giving our audience. So don't forget to connect with Sil to be able to reframe your story. Thank you again so much for everything that you're doing for all of us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is a wonderful event. I know you are all going to feel better the next minute you leave this year. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you, Sil. We're moving on to our next panel, and I want to call on our next panelists if they can come on the screen. Refugio, thank you for being here. Refu, Monica, hi. Jorge, yes. Oh my God, I'm just like here in the, with all of you. It's so exciting, so exciting. Okay, so here we're going to be talking about how do we own our leadership roles? right? Leadership is so important. We know that Latinos only hold less than 4% of leadership roles in the US, but we're smart. We can do it. We've already heard the numbers, but for some reason we can't. Something stops us. We can't own our worth and get to that next level, but the three of you have. The three of you have broken those barriers, have broken those ceilings, and you're not only doing that, but you're doing that for others and paving the way for others to come. So I want to hear all the details from you and for our audience. How do we then get there? And we're starting to hear about mindset. Mindset is really like that first thing of us believing in ourselves to be able to do that. But we have a lot of limiting beliefs, right? And that either we have or that we've inherited from our culture, from our backgrounds, from our lived experiences. So what have you seen from your front in terms of those limiting beliefs that we now need to turn and embrace so that we can embrace our leadership identity, and how do I shift our perspective? And I want to start with you, Ref.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for having me. This is phenomenal. I know I think three of us males on here, which is phenomenal. So Jorge, good to meet you. For me, for me, my journey, it's confidence. Number one, I keep hearing imposter syndrome come up. And I address that, to be honest. I have leadership programs in my book. I address imposter syndrome phenomenon right away. It was interesting is I started my own leadership journey. I'm just saying I'm 52, and I didn't really get into leadership, like really start thinking about it until I was about 45. And it was interesting because, I'm a project program manager by trade, and I always got the best projects, the best programs, and I worked hard, and I was a good, really strong performer, but I never got promoted to these senior level roles, right? And so I went to the chief of staff of the CEO. I worked for United at the time, United Airlines. I was like, what am I doing? What am I not doing? And she was Latina. And she's like, you got to work on your executive presence, your brand, right? Your communication. You have to get involved with the organization through ERGs and all this stuff, right? You gotta add impact across the organization. And I remember saying, I'm like, what's all that, right? Bottom line is I started teaching myself. I started studying. So I took programs. I did a lot of YouTube. I got books, right? But I studied hard. I started expanding my network, especially at that VP level, and introducing myself. I started dressing better, right? And because back then it was just polos and jeans or whatever I was wearing. But I got really serious about my image. I got really serious about my growth. And I shared that growth. I talked to my manager and I talked to my mentors, right? I made it real. And then I just started practicing, and I failed, which is okay, right? It's part of the process. But now I've mastered those things, right? And it was because of that one conversation with a Latina who says, to get to these leadership positions, I remember she goes, a lot of people get stuck at that middle management role because they focus on their core, their hard skills. If you're accountant, you're accountant, or project manager, you focus on project managing. She goes, in order to get to those senior leadership positions, it's 85% soft skills, only 15% hard skills, right? So there's a flip, and I didn't know that. So once I knew about the flip, I started studying all these different topics, right? And that's the topics I just covered. So that totally transformed me in my leadership. And now I became a student of leadership. And now I'm a teacher of leadership. I take it extremely seriously. Leadership is essential, should be part of your job. Literally, you have your core job, and leadership should be right there with it. If you want to accelerate in the workplace, your competition, I'm just saying the white people, they're all studying leadership, all of them, right? The ones that get these positions are strong leadership students. So if you want to compete, be a strong leadership student, practitioner, and it'll open up doors for you. So that's my story.
I love that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about everything that you've said, but I want to hear from Monica.
Hi, everyone. My name is Monica Marquez, and I am the co-founder and chief learning officer at Beyond Barriers, which is what we like to call the world's first career fitness app that is helping individuals navigate their career, kind of like the CrossFit for career. And so we're leveraging technology, AI, and everything to help you do that. But that is because for 25 years, my corporate experience, I started off at Goldman Sachs, went to Bank of America, was heading up leadership development for the global banking and markets, then went to Ernst & Young to do similar work in the entire West Coast, and then ended up at Google. And I thought when I was at Google, I would be able to have a lot more impact and help people kind of go further, faster in their career. But I realized in all of these organizations, it was a little bit of the same song, different DJ, right? The same kind of systemic barriers, the same kinds of obstacles were still getting in the way of lots of women and BIPOC professionals, and especially Latinas, right? But one of the significant limiting factors that I found was that we all have this internalized belief that we need to fit in. A little bit like Refugio was saying, is that, we immediately try to whitewash ourselves, right? And we try to fit in. And I remember early in my career, I was almost contorting myself like a pretzel to try to fit into something that just wasn't me. And, I was trying to fit in rather than stand out. And many Latinas, including myself, have been conditioned to think that leadership looks a certain way, that it's often shaped by cultural norms, right? In many of these organizations, every single one of those organizations has their own culture. And the societal norms, the gender norms, and even our own cultural norms, right? Calladita, te ves más bonita. So you learn from a very young age that you need to, be quiet, make yourself smaller, fit in, and don't ruffle feathers. But those cultural norms, they don't reflect us, right? The reality is that Latinas are already driving substantial growth, right? According to the latest 2024 US Latino GDP report from the Latino Donor Collaborative from Ana Valdez, who's a good friend, that we are contributing to the economy with an impressive real annualized growth rate of 4.6. compared to just the 1.8 for the rest of the economy, right? This shows that when we embrace our unique strengths, we can lead authentically and powerfully, right? Our perspective matters, because if your companies know dollars and cents, if it's going to hit the bottom line, the Latino community, the Latino GDP is going to have a powerful impact. So you have that perspective. Own that. That's powerful. That's something worthy to hold on to. For me, that shift came when I recognized that my value lies in my difference, right? Not trying to blend in. I had a perspective that many others in the room didn't have, and I could tap into that cultural perspective that I have from a Latina perspective to kind of help our companies and other people to start to think, we need to tap into this GDP that no one else is paying attention to. So that is where you have to embrace that difference, right? And really start to understand, what are my cultural values that are wonderful, beautiful, and they've helped me thus far, but are they in conflict with the corporate values? And is it becoming unresourceful for me, right? And so you're going to have to learn to acculturate to what success looks like in your company, but not so much that you lose yourself, that you still hold on to that difference and say, I'll acculturate, I'm not going to assimilate. Because when we assimilate, we whitewash ourselves and we turn into something that we're not. But really, starting to get confidence of really pay attention, do the research around the Latino GDP report and how we're going to be this, minority majority in the economy, and people are paying attention. So hold on to that difference. That difference matters. And so be that authentic self, right? That's what it's all about. So for me, that's what shifted. And when I realized that that was power in my perspective, that is when I started really making traction and becoming that leader. And then I just wanted to kind of share the knowledge. So I left and built this company to help others shift that mindset and really understand, what do I want to be known for? I want to be known for bringing a different perspective.
Absolutely. And we're definitely going to come to that. But Jorge, you also bring a completely different lens, because through your magazine, you're talking to these C-suite executives that have also broken the mold, but there's still that little thing that's missing. So we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yes, of course. And thank you very much for having me. This is a great discussion. First of all, yes, in the magazine, we have interviewed already around 3,000 leaders since we were founded 24 years ago. And we have had the privilege of of interviewing them, but more in the sense of knowing their virtues, their values, their decision-making processes, their careers, in a sense of not showing off, but kind of analyzing them. So we understand a little bit of how Latino leadership has been built in our society, in our community today. And of course, we have noticed some common trends that could help others to identify maybe those trends in themselves, or maybe just look for them. But the first one that I would like to feature or to talk about is, leadership is never something that you look for itself. It's like money. I mean, many people that have become rich, not many of them say, "Oh, I want to be rich, so that's my goal in life," right? No, they start doing something, and they do it well, and they build an asset of that, and they build on that asset a company, a business, whatever, and then they become rich as an outcome, right, of that effort and that career. The same is with leadership. I mean, you start doing something in whatever field you think it is. You can start by being the president of your class at school, or you can become the president of an organization, or start your own company, or maybe have a political career. But you are focused on your career, and you're focused on your activity. And that activity of leadership has three main characteristics that we have noticed in most of the leaders that we have interviewed. One, maybe the very first one, is determination. So leaders that have, gone the distance and have arrived into some kind of leadership position, they are driven by determination. They don't accept a no for answer, and then keep trying and trying and trying, and they never quit. That is one of the characteristics that we have noticed. People that get tired or say, well, I have a plan B, maybe I can do that, or I can go through this route to see if it's easier or whatever, usually either take longer or never make it. So you need, what we have seen is that these people are very well determined. The second is that they are ambitious. They want to conquer, they want to advance. They want to beat the other one, beat the competition, be the best, impress the others, have a work acumen under their arms that they can say, I want to do this, and I have been doing this for all these years. And that effort is hard work, right? It's hard work. They are early birds and late owls. Also, I mean, they work 14, 15 hours a day. They don't get tired. They don't expect, like someone to reward them. They reward themselves by the little advancements of every day. And the third one is a very interesting thing, which is kind of a sense of integrity, right? There's not a leader in the world that his or her prestige and career is backed by a strong integrity and reputational background. The leaders that have very weak reputations and backgrounds are usually the leaders that fell down. You want to be a leader, whatever leader it is, again, from the example on the class, or you need to be integral. So that's what we have noticed.
I love that, Jorge, and I think you touch on a lot of the other points. We're coming to the end of this, so we're going to do a round robin of very specific questions. Ref, you have your leadership playbook, which is amazing, and I think it's helped a lot of people. What do you think we overlook from ourselves as Latinos that we should embrace and push forward and say, this is what makes us great and bring value to the table? On mute. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry.
There you
I'll
go.
leave it, yeah, I'll leave with Latino since this is a Latino talk. It's interesting. I coach and mentor a lot. I'm a director of cultural counseling and an ERG leader for the third world's largest pharma company. So I mentor a lot, coach a lot of Latinos. But what's interesting in my program and the people I mentor, 9 out of 10 are Latinas. And so what I'm seeing, the trend I'm seeing is the drive to excel, the drive to growth, right? Latinas are fire. I'm just going to say it. And because they're so ambitious, they're so easy to partner with, and they're so coachable, and so easy so fun to work with, right? And so the thing I would say is take advantage of that natural passion and outwork everybody, and more importantly, outdevelop everybody. I know we're talking about own your worth, but own your development. I want to see Latinas take their development to the next level. And that's investing time, money, whatever it is. YouTube, that's free, right? Books, easy, $30, whatever it is. Programs, doesn't have to be any program. Got to develop yourself. Out develop everybody, and you will succeed. Out network everybody, right? Strategic networking. I have a whole chapter on that. You will succeed, right? That's going to move the needle. That's going to move the needle of representation. That's also going to, for instance, in corporate, I did a quick analysis, and this will be my last statement. In corporate, the manager level is Latinos. We're stuck at middle management, which is like average 140,000 across the U.S. With these new concepts, as you accelerate, get to the director level, now you're making 250, 300, 400,000 a year. Now you can actually create wealth in meaningful ways, right? That's a different type of wealth. Talking about wealth, right? So that's the power of this. At the end of the day, it's wealth for you, your family, and generations of your family. So I'll leave you with that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Monica, you talk about acculturation versus assimilation, but sometimes we don't know. We're so in it that we don't realize that we're in it, right?
Right.
You talk about being 20 years in corporate. I was 20 years in corporate and I didn't get it until 5 years ago. What's the one or two things that we can do to recognize this so that we can then start shifting? Because until we don't recognize it, we can't move.
Yeah, I think it's really important. And the first really key step is self-awareness, right? You have to really start putting pen to paper and gift yourself the time to do that internal, have the internal dialogue with yourself to understand what is your unique value proposition, right? What is your zone of genius? What do you love to do that it comes effortless to you? Because many times our strengths, we undervalue them. We think because, oh, that's super easy, like it just comes to me, it must not be worth anything. We think that hard equals value. Like if this is really hard for me to do, then it must be something valuable. And when we do something really easily, we undervalue it. So really start to realize, what are your strengths? What is your zone of genius? So that you can start to really communicate that to your key stakeholders, to your direct manager. Because what happens to us many, many times is we start to assimilate because we listen to your senior leader, whoever that more than likely is going to be I love to say very lovingly, pale male from Yale, who taps on your shoulder and he says, hey, I think you would be really good at this. We have a tendency to want to be pleasers and say, oh my God, yes, thank you, I'll do this. And so you take this role, you take on this thing where then 5 years down the road, you look up and you're like, why am I here? Why am I doing this role? This isn't what I intended to do. Because we didn't share our story. We didn't say, thank you very much, manager, but my zone of genius is here. These are my strengths. These are the things that I want to do. I appreciate you considering me for this, but if it's going to take me off of that path, then I say no, right? So it's really understanding what is your unique value proposition. So at Beyond Barriers, our program really focuses on the 5 C's. Clarity, what do you want to be known for? Courage, the courage to step into that even when there's uncertainty. Conviction in the power of learning. I can learn it, just in time learn it, even if it's a stretch position. I don't have to check off all 10 boxes. I can get there eventually. So don't say no, say yes, and know that you can learn it. And then the power of commitment in terms of how do I break down this big, hairy, audacious goal and really start focusing on the right thing at the right time so that I can get there. And then lastly, community. Leverage your community. You should never do this alone. We as Latinos and Latinas, we tend to say, I'm going to pick myself up by my bootstraps, do this all alone. No, we're not going to get there. It takes a village. So how do you make sure that you are thinking about who's the person who has the success that I want? And how do I get proximity to them and ask them, how did you get there? What are the do's and don'ts? How can I get there faster? Because I want to learn from you rather than have to go get all these certifications or whatever. What do I really need to know so I don't waste my time? So it's really know your worth, the clarity, the courage, the conviction, and the community. Leverage community to get there.
I love that. Thank you so much. Jorge, close us off. What's the final advice? You already gave us 3 powerful, powerful recommendations. What's next? How do we activate?
Well, I am getting tired, Ileana, to be in a group of Latinos in which we discuss how to get a seat on the table, how do we ask for more opportunities, how do we ask them to do this and to do that. I think that everything needs to start by us empowering ourselves. And the first thing that we need to do is start with self-confidence. I mean, without self-confidence, it's very difficult to do things. But then we need to figure out that in this country and in this community that we have, we need to own the things. It is capital, it is money, what makes everybody powerful. So the other day I was on a panel on media. How do we change the narrative of Latinos in media? Because we appear always as the bandits, the drug traffickers, the bad police, right? How? Well, we need to, instead of asking the producers to change our roles, we need to be the producers. We need to be the ones making the movies. We need to be the banks, or own the banks at least, to lend more money to our people. So we need to start by that mentality of owning things. And then when we own the things, we will be powerful enough to start moving the needle at the pace and the height that we need to do it, which needs to be faster and higher, because otherwise the future of this country is compromised. And we don't want that. We are the future of this country. Latinos are going to be the majority in a few years from now, and we need to arrive to that position wealthy, powerful, intelligent, well-educated, and be able to bring that country up to what it is, the leader of the free world.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much to the 3 of you. So many powerful words on the chat. I know that we're going to be sending a lot of the resources that you've already shared with us, with everybody. And also please connect with Red, with Monica, with Jorge. Thank you so much for sharing your words of wisdom and for everything that you do, so that all of us here can continue to push forward and own our worth. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Sandra,
Amazing.
oh my God.
I couldn't type fast enough. I don't know about you guys. I couldn't type. I'm like, wow, so many gold is dropped. And that's what this event is about, because we bring together all of these leaders who share so much knowledge that we are absorbing now. And that's only going to galvanize us, right? Because we leave these things like amped up. Throw me against the wall and I'm going to break right through that. That's how strong and powerful we need to feel. So I love it. I love it. Thank you guys for sharing that. And we have a short break this time because we do.
We do. We're moving forward.
Yes. So we do have another winner that got selected. So I will share the name now. Our next winner is Jeanette Miranda. You are our next winner. Woo-hoo! So
Awesome,
get
Jeanette.
tuned for that.
Congratulations.
Thank you to our board for helping us out. Yes.
Thank you to our
Jeanette.
board. It takes a village to put this together, and our board is amazing.
Guys.
We're gonna, so they're and behind the scenes making sure that all of this works. So thank you.
Yep. And on that goes to show, like, surround yourself around the same mindset. People who are hungry, people who are go-getters. We need to not, for whatever this is worth, sometimes you have people in your life that aren't the same point, right? You need to grow, and you need to surround yourself with other people who are hungry, who have desires, who have ambitions. Because if we stay in small mindsets, eso no va a cambiar el mundo, right? So we need to be and surround ourselves with people who are hungry, and everybody here and everybody in the chat is of that mindset. It's like, let's level up, because the more that you're around people like that, the more that you're going to get where you need to be. And that's critical, but so powerful. What is your zone of genius? What comes to you easy, Monica, this was gold, you know, because we do think that if it's easy for us, it's not worth anything. Like sometimes we have a gift and things just flow from us, pero then we don't price it right because we're like, well, it takes me such an X amount of time because it flows out of me because this is my zone of genius. And that is such a great point. Don't underestimate what comes easy to you as not being valued. It's critical that we understand our zone of genius and what we bring to the table because other people cannot do that. So awesome. I think we're on to our next thing. Yes?
Yes. So we're bringing on our next power talk because we're on a high and we're going to continue to be on a high for the rest of today. So we're bringing on Ari Vargas, who is going to share with us some words of wisdom. Ari, are you there? Yay! Hey, you're on mute.
Here. Okay. Yes, we're off mute. We're on camera. We're ready to go.
Perfect. The virtual space is all yours. Take us away.
Thank you so much for having me. Sandra, after your comments, I was like, mic drop for Sandra. Boom, right there. Oh, so good. It's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon. I have loved all the speakers. I've been taking so many notes and I love the energy of everyone in the chat. So I'm going to jump right in with a question for everybody. Have you ever paused to ask yourself, what would change if you dared to redefine success on your own terms? The traditional idea of success tells us to climb, to achieve, to sacrifice, to obtain financial stability, security, social status, a lifestyle, external validation, but rarely does it prompt us to ask along the way whether this relentless pursuit actually leads to the fulfillment and contentment that we're seeking. Growing up as the daughter of Dominican immigrant parents, I constantly heard my father say, life is all about sacrifices, mija. He meant it in the context of what he and my mother went through to give my sister and me the best chance at success in this country. And I saw firsthand the weight of those sacrifices on their shoulders. They were always in survival mode. So from an early age, I was determined to use every opportunity they gave me to make good on those sacrifices. I told myself that when I was older, I was not going to be poor, that I was going to live in a safe neighborhood. I would make sure that money wouldn't be a stressor in my life as it had been for my parents when I was young. And becoming a lawyer, achieving the American dream, that was the plan. And for a long time, I followed it. I followed the plan. But over the years as a lawyer, I realized that the definition of success sold to me and us, whether it's framed as the American dream or simply being successful, was a double-edged sword. At first, it seemed to validate my hard work, my drive, my hunger, my ambition. But as I advanced in my career over the years, I found myself caught in a relentless cycle of achievement and validation, attaching my productivity and performance to my self-worth. And that mindset becomes increasingly difficult to escape when you've spent your life hustling and grinding to achieve and prove yourself in school and in work environments as one of the few. So that drive that had propelled me forward began to feel like a treadmill that I couldn't get off of. And my success, while it may seem impressive on paper, while it may have seemed impressive to others, came at the expense of the parts of myself that I had neglected, all in pursuit of this, what I would say, a narrowly defined ideal of success. And as Latinas, we're expected to be tireless workers, selfless caretakers, flawless professionals, all at once. And we strive to be twice as good, and we work twice as hard. And we want to honor our parents' sacrifices. We want to be a role model for our communities. We don't want to ruin it for anyone else. Yet the pride and this pressure can often trap us and outdated dreams that no longer really reflect who we are or how we might want to live and work. So years ago, when I was just 1 year away from making partner at a law firm, I was at a crossroads. On the outside, I had everything I was supposed to want. I made good money, I had insurance, had health insurance, had financial stability, I had a home, I had a high chance of becoming partner. I was doing well at the firm, I had the support of the firm and the respect that comes with that. But inside, something felt way off, very misaligned. Although I did great work and I loved researching, I loved writing, I love oral argument, love those things, I did not connect with the substance of my work. And I felt like I had gifts and strengths that I wasn't using, that I wasn't exercising, that I wasn't growing. And I knew that continuing down that law firm path wasn't what I wanted anymore, despite the fact that partnership had been my goal for the previous 9 years. So to the shock of many, including partners at the firm, mentors, people in my network, and my parents, because even as a grown adult, I care about what my parents think, I said no thank you to partnership. Now, years later, I left the law altogether to pursue leadership development and executive coaching, which is what I still do today. But when I left the law entirely, I faced questions from people. Aren't you wasting your law degree? Why would you give up a title and a position that you worked so long and hard for? And what people asking those questions did not understand was that my definition of success had evolved. As I advanced in my career and I had children, I realized that the pursuit of a traditional version of success was costing me so much of my joy, so much of my fulfillment, and my well-being. And I had to decide to pursue a new path aligned with who I was becoming instead of being beholden to who I once was or what I once wanted, which was true for me at that time. And I was no longer interested in attaching my worth to my work. I see this same realization in the women I work with, the women I coach, especially Latinas and women of color professionals. They've achieved so much, but still feel so dissatisfied. Their hard work and the levels they've reached in their career start to ring hollow. There's like an emptiness to it. And they tell me they thought they'd be happier by now. They tell me they struggle to take care of themselves and that there's never enough time to do everything they feel like they have to do. They recognize that they've been staying where they are, not because it brings them happiness, but because it's the misery they know. The idea of change and the idea of uncertainty is very scary. And they also recognize that they've stayed where they are because of what it has symbolized, that they made it. Despite the odds, they made it, and that they're worthy and that they're good enough. But then they also ask themselves, right? Is there more? Is there something more? Is there another way to do this life work thing? Then they feel guilty for wanting more or something different, right? It gets more complex. There are multiple layers here. And I've been there wanting something more for myself, my life, my work, thinking, oh, why can't I just be grateful and happy with what I have and where I am? Why can't I just be grateful for that and be okay with that? You see, we often use gratitude as an excuse. We use it as an excuse to suppress our desires or to deny ourselves the chance to explore new paths and new possibilities. But true gratitude doesn't ever try to convince you to settle for less. True gratitude is about appreciating all you have and honoring yourself enough to ask the question, what do I really want now? and giving yourself the permission to find the answer. What I have learned firsthand and what I see in those I work with is that true success is not about staying on a path because it's what you've always done. True success isn't about staying on a path because it looks good to others, including your family. True success isn't about staying on a path because it's where hard work and momentum have led you. True success comes from living intentionally and ensuring that how you spend your time and your energy, which is finite, aligns with who you've become and what and who matters most to you. Because when you dare to redefine success on your terms, you do not just transform your own life. You are breaking barriers and you're clearing the way for other Latinas beside you and coming after you. You honor the legacy of all of our families and all of our ancestors who sacrificed for us. And we honor them by living a life true to ourselves. We honor them by taking deep care of ourselves. We honor them by believing that rest is productive. We honor them by boldly walking on our own path. So today, I ask that you make a promise to yourself. Promise to take a deep, honest look at what success really means to you. When you imagine a successful life, a good life, what do you see? What do you see? Let that vision reveal what you value most, what matters most, and what you truly want to pursue. Because when you align with that truth, something profound shifts inside. Let me tell you, you start choosing yourself a whole lot more. You start seeing yourself a whole lot more. You start knowing yourself. You start feeling more convicted in who you are. And you activate your power to step into a life that's authentically yours, with less stress, much more joy, more fulfillment, and something that so many of us deeply desire, which is freedom. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Arivi. That was like, I'm trying to write and read and like amazing. Like there's so many great things. And I think it's just a collective because I think you shared a story. Everybody here thus far, don't attach your work to your worth. How often do we do that? All the time. Why can't I just be grateful for what I have? I mean, all the time, right? All the time. Why can't I just be grateful for this? Is gold. And it's a reminder to ourselves to check ourselves in those moments. So I appreciate that very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much, Arivi, really for your powerful words and for being here with us today. So we are moving forward. Before we move on to our next panel, we just want to show quickly the video of all the nominees that we had for Extraordinary Latinas because you're all extraordinary in themselves. We're going to show the winners after in a while, but at least we wanted to highlight all the nominees because you all deserve it.
Definitely.
So let's take a look. No, hold on. There we go. Sorry. Congratulations to all
Amazing.
Japanese. We are powerful. We're extraordinary. Continue on, Sandra.
Yes, so many wonderful people that have been nominated because there's so many Latinas doing great things, and we all need to be on that list. So now I want to bring up our next panel discussion. This is a subject of my heart and soul, and there's no better person than Carolina. I'm so happy, Carolina. Thank you for joining me for this conversation.
No, the pleasure is all mine, and I'm excited. This is a topic of discussion that really, really needs to resonate with everyone, and I'm ready for it. Bring it on.
Absolutely, absolutely. We talk about our power when it comes to how we are handling our money, how we're handling our mindset, how are we handling social advocacy and our networking efforts, which is pivotal to all of those things, right? How are we really understanding what's going on in the world? Many of our speakers have mentioned we need to be smart about, money investments and organizations and where we put our money. But social advocacy kind of takes it to another level. Social advocacy is about what are we doing for our communities? Because a lot of people talk about it. Are you being about it? And how do we be about it, right? Like, so you are a perfect person, Caro, to like help us kick this conversation off on, what do we do when it comes to social advocacy, and how can Latinas, first of all, advocate for oneself? Especially when we like to keep a low profile, we're impacted by so many different things, but how do cultural expectations such as humility and keeping a low profile impact the way we'll engage with networking and with advocacy?
And Sandra, I think we can all agree that the old misconception of, oh, you have to stay humble, you have to stay quiet, it doesn't take us anywhere, right? We haven't been successful. We've been using that for years and years, and nothing has changed. And only when we use our voice, when we empower ourselves by knowing that we have the talent and we have everything that we need to be successful within us, that's when we are able to step out and become the person that we need to be, those leaders that we probably didn't see when we grew up, that we were yearning for. So I think that misconception is the one that we need to step away from and work daily on overcoming that small voice that tell us that we're not enough. And this conference, it's the perfect example because we've all been talking about the same things. It's kind of like the same topic of discussion, right? And that's when we say own your voice, own your worth, own your power. It's about stepping into that power sin pena, because that's who we are. That's what we're meant to be for ourselves and for others. We do have to recognize the nuances, though. We tend to speak up when we see more people that look like us in those rooms. We need to see 2 or 3 familiar faces, and then we say what's affecting us and what's impacting us, and that needs to change. We need to ensure that no matter if you're the only woman or the only Latina or the only Latino in the room, you still have a responsibility and the right to say what's wrong and what needs to change. So let's start there. But obviously I do see, and there's we're in the middle of voting, and I love how everyone has mentioned, hey, let's go and vote. Let's register to vote. Let's ensure that we know when we have a plan to vote, but let's vote. Let's make sure that we are saying what is impacting our communities, and we are representing that. And let's own that right. Let's own the responsibility of being the voice for those vulnerable populations, which just happen to be Latinos, right? We're included there. And stand for what we believe in. I love to see communities just coming together, and this is the perfect example. This is a community coming together to talk about this, the things that are impacting us and the policies that are impacting us, and just doing something about it.
Yep. Exactly. Like, we need to be aware of the policies that are impacting our communities and not just think, okay, what about me and this person? It's okay, how does this affect the mass? Because we are nurturers of our community, right? We do think and care for one another in some way, even if you are not active. But we do need to harness that power. We do need to really be educated in what's going on in the world, because lack of education leads to like nowhere.
And Sandra, we need to know our numbers, right? We're 19% of that workforce that we talk about, protecting and ensuring that they stay healthy, they have a place to live, they're educated. So if we're 19% of the population of the workforce, we recognize, okay, we're those frontline workers, we're those customer service nurses, teachers, firefighters, you name it. We're also in leadership roles, but we tend to be that workforce that needs help, that needs education, that needs opportunity, that needs workforce housing, that needs all of these elements to be successful. And we want them to be successful because it's going to impact us. It's going to impact you, and me. So why not pave the way and say something and do something so that those populations are successful, we are successful, and we all benefit. We are the American dream. We have to ensure that we work to make that American dream achievable to everyone, especially the ones that have been neglected, right?
Yes, yes to all of that. We are the American dream. We are the people that we are serving in essence, and we need to wake up and really be engaged and activated in some of these areas. So what do you feel like, especially when it comes to Latinas, like recognizing the importance of social engagement and advocacy, right? Especially when you have a career, because a lot of people, it's like, okay, I don't want to say anything publicly. I have a career, or like, where do you feel we should draw the line, or if we should draw the line, and to what point do we voice our pain points? I don't know, que la palabra, pero you know what I'm saying? Like, at what point do we advocate not just for ourselves, but for our communities, and while managing a career where people feel like, I don't want to say anything on this matter? But do we serve the community when we don't say anything at all? I don't know. I think that could go both ways, but I would love your opinion and thoughts on that.
And maybe that's the fear that a lot of us are encountering, because obviously you represent an organization, but you also represent your community, your families, your friends, your coworkers, but you also have a fire within you, right? You know what's good for you, but coincidentally, you know what's good for those around you. I deeply believe that if you're thinking that what's good for me, it's going to benefit others, and also what's the impact on others, and we ask those questions before making a decision, then everything aligns and we work better as a society, as humankind. I know it's sort of like one of those dreams that we have, and I know that you and we share that sentiment, but we do have to recognize that we're all interconnected. And if you're not doing okay, then I'm gonna feel it and I'm gonna sense it in even if it's at a minimum, right? Like, we know each other, we are in the same circle, so obviously what's impacting you, it's going to impact me. But I do recognize that we do have that responsibility of mentioning what's wrong, where we see that can be improved. Because if it's hurting me, most likely it's hurting those around me. They're just not saying it, because we tend to believe that what's affecting us, it's only affecting me. And only when we say, oh, this color doesn't jive with me, or this the food, or it's tasting different, then others are going to say, oh, I was thinking the same thing, but I thought I was the only one struggling with that. So that's the power of representation, of speaking up, of sharing what we're feeling, because then we're going to realize we're more connected than separate, right? Then we're more connected than we thought. And what's good for you ends up being good for me, and vice versa. So that's why I love the idea that by becoming that role model, by mentoring others, by sharing, by being part of government councils or board members of different organizations, that's when we really share what we think and how we feel, and also have that responsibility of representing others. But that's when we bring those issues to the table, and we can all work on solving those issues, or at least knowing that we're working towards a solution, but not saying anything and not doing anything. It's gonna get us there nowhere. So that's why we need to, even if it takes us every every pain of our body, because I recognize sometimes speaking up is not the most comfortable position, but recognize that in those uncomfortable moments, it's when we grow and when we find commonalities. And that's when we are able to step into that zone of genius and that position of power where we can be stronger for others and for ourselves.
I love that. It's when we own ourselves, when we're like, you know what, I believe in this, and this is what I believe about how we can better the world, and owning that thought and being willing to be vulnerable and sharing that with the world. That's the only way that we're going to build connections, and where we're going to find people that align with our views, that we can literally align with, and then build things to change some of those things.
And that's what we want. We want change. We want things. What's funny is with humans and with women, with men, you name it, with the population in general, we just want healthy environments. We just want a job. We just want a home. We just want, a good place to call home, or in a nice job, and just that happiness that those simple things bring to your life. It's not like we're all shooting for the stars. So if we come together as a collective, that's where our real power begins, right? Yes, I have power, you have power, but it's when we unite and work together towards causes that really affect us, and we recognize that, and we strategically go towards what's best for us. That's when we gain upward mobility, and that's when we really succeed as a community.
Yes, I love that. And you mentioned board. So I would like to know in the chat, how many of you are part of a board or want to be part of a board? If you could share that in the chat so we can kind of see where everybody's at. And then maybe there are doors that'll open and opportunities that'll come from you sharing your voice and saying me.
Part of boards and part of councils, but I mean, there's different opportunities out there. And the fact that you are being a part of your community in that sense, where you're sharing your experience, your expertise, and your voice, that there's power there. And I love to see how many are
I know.
part of boards.
It's great. It's amazing. What do you feel has come from participating in some of the boards or certain councils? What has that done for you?
Well, obviously, you create partnerships. You know of other organizations. You know of other people who are aligned and doing great things. And by uniting all those efforts and all those strengths, then you become better at what you do. But it's also about the impact and the legacy that I want to leave behind, right? And I believe that we all want to leave a legacy that it has impacted others in a good way. I also think about the future generations, the current generations. I think about the world as a whole, and the type of world that I want to see. And hopefully we're still here 100 years from now. So I believe deeply in coming together at these boards and just learning from each other, but also, okay, how can we be more effective at what we do? So that's what boards bring to, and you see the impact, right? You see the results, you see how many lives you're touching. You can also, but what I truly love about boards, especially like obviously you and I were part of the Hispanic Heritage Chamber of Commerce. It's that we have the power to become a voice for those businesses, especially the Latino businesses, which were supporting Latinos and Hispanic. But we can sit at tables that probably it will take so much time for others to get to, and hear these businesses, hear about what their needs are, and bring them to the forefront, and also create a plan for those businesses to be successful. So that's what a board means to me. How can you strategize with others? How can you bring resources together and create even better, higher, more effective impact in those lives? Because that's, then again, to the initial point that we made, we want our communities to be successful and to thrive. And that's through health, education, all the things that are needed to just live a happy life.
Absolutely. And I love that you mentioned all of those things. What some people are like, okay, if you're on a board, I mean, there's so much experience that you gain from being on a board or a council or a committee. And that I think we underestimate, when it comes to owning our worth, and it's, some of these are unpaid, what is it? Labor of loves, right?
It is a big labor of love.
Yes, so completely a labor of love, but you learn so much. You are in environments where conversations are being had that you may not have been exposed to previously. You're learning new things. You're now leveling up your experiences. And now when it comes to owning your worth, you have that under your belt. And I think we as learners, and I tend to believe Latinas are learners. We're hungry for knowledge. We're hungry for learning. We're just evolving at a rapid pace, I feel. These environments that we put ourselves in are critical to our growth, and they only enhance, our learning exposure and opportunities that will lead to perpetual things, in the long run of growth.
And Sandrita, you mentioned something beautiful there. We are learners. We never stop learning. Not only uh, not only Latinas and Latinos, we all learn from each other, learn from what our experiences, learn from what we see. So that's a call to action for all of us to become mentors to others, to open doors for others, to mention names of talented Latinas out there that we know, that we've worked with, that we know of, and mention their name and make sure that they're connected to opportunities, because that's crucial to our worth as a group. So there's a call to action to everyone here. If you're not mentoring somebody, go get out and find somebody. Bring those community college students to your places of businesses, to your business, to your organizations, and show them the ropes, right? And why I say community colleges, because that's the majority of the Latinos. They go right there, community college. That's their option after high school if they decide to go to further their education. So why not find the right talent there, start them young, show them the ropes, and then you can develop things with the community colleges where you create those jobs and those business opportunities that you need to grow within your business too. So everyone benefits from that. So go out, find a mentee, do your part, and vote.
It's coming up in November. Everybody should be registered to vote. So I hope everybody is. And I want to add, sometimes if you don't have that access just yet, well, first of all, connect with everybody here, because you don't know what doors are going to open and what opportunities. And we need to show up and show out, right? Tell people who we are and what we can bring to the table. But if you don't have that just yet, find a group of people that you can just start having deeper, wiser conversations about what do you believe in, and what do you wish to change about the world, or certain environments that you're in. Like, think about that, not just, hey, let's hang out and just chat, but make those chats productive. What do we want to do in this world? What do we want to be, and how are we leveraging our opportunities, and how are we leveraging our assets to do some good for the world?
Sandrita, and you said it perfectly. Ask. Just raise your hand and ask. Say something. You will be surprised of how many people they just extend the hand and they have the solution there. And I saw Emiliana joining us.
Yes. Welcome, Emmy. So I'll throw it to you, Emmy, since you just came in like halfway, so it'll be perfect. So you already know what we're talking about. We were just mentioning the importance of really being active and being on boards and being representative, and voting's coming up, and just being advocates within our community and building those conversations and finding those groups where you can build those conversations that are more growth-centered conversations. But we talked a lot about well, there's so much you can talk about. So I would love for you to share just kind of your perspective on being an advocate, being socially engaged, and how can we go about doing that from your perspective?
So I think part of it that really sticks out to me is joining and being active, but also not being afraid to build something that hasn't been built, because the current society was never built for us. And so part of that entails for us to sort of say, you know what, I don't see that out there. Let's see how I can build it. How can I build wealth? How can I build advocacy? Right? The other piece to it is we always think we don't have enough experience. We don't have enough of this. We have more than enough. Our identity, our experience of who we are is enough. And when you walk into a room, you bring in your identity and your experience, no matter where we go. We're Latinas, we're resilient. And so part of that is making sure that we also coalesce around the power that that brings. And that for me is voting power, right? I mean, we are the youngest voting Black out there, Latinas, period. So it's time we start to really look at how can I continue to advocate for my community with where I'm at, with who I am currently. You don't need to be 10 pounds lighter, make $100,000 more, although that would be nice. But realistically, starting with where we are at and building out from there. So I do think that thinking of yourself as a leader in whatever space you're in is what we need today.
I love that. So critical is to see ourselves as leaders and act as leaders and be leaders by leading the way and impacting others. So you've done that in by times, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of women that you've led through your work. So that is profound for sure. So what can we, I know we're running close to time, but what can we, like, would love to hear from both of you on this. Like, what can we do? We talked about being on boards. We talked about joining committees and getting engaged in your communities in some way or another, right? It doesn't matter where, just find organizations that you can just tap into and say, hey, what do you need me to do? Right? As opposed to waiting for someone to ask you, it's, hey, what do you need me to do? Or I believe this is missing. I think I can contribute this. Yes or no? No. Okay, I'm going to take this. I'm going to take my skills and my worth to somewhere else. But opening up and saying, hey, I think I can help with this, and you know, bringing that. So what do you guys think about that perspective, and what would you recommend to our listeners of, like, what's the best way to go about that?
Emiliana, you go first.
Okay.
I would say to truly just show up. Part of it is showing up, and again, going back to you are enough. We are enough. I currently serve on a Patagonia board. I currently am a board member for my temple, right? So showing up again with your experience, asking what can you do, and building with your strengths. We all have strengths, and making sure that we recognize them, but also truly representation matters. And wherever you show up as your true authentic self, because I think that Latina voices are needed in so many spaces, and our experiences are so different, and we need that. I mean, I know that I participate and I join organizations when I see people that look like me, people that come from some of my experiences. That's important. And that's important for our youth, for our kids as well. So for women to step up and show up and participate, and again, with our true experience and authentic self as Latinas.
That's beautiful. And I agree with everything that we've mentioned and we touched on today, as well as what Emiliana just mentioned, to show up as who you are and start where you are, right? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to show up and do the work. And hopefully we'll connect with others to do it. I'm going to emphasize, just because there's an opportunity here, we're close to elections, I'm going to emphasize on make sure you're registered to vote, make sure you have a plan to vote, make sure you know when and what time you're going to be voting, and encourage others around you to do the same. And when I say ensure that you have a plan to vote, it's not only about understanding the time and the date and how you're going to get there, but also look at the ballot. Who's there? Who aligns with what you stand for? Who aligns, or who's talking about policies that are going to benefit your community, your family? If you have daughters, think about their future too. There's a lot on the line. There's women's rights that are suffering right now, and we're like right there. It's like, oh my goodness, we're so close and so divided at the same time. Be that change, be that light, be the one who talks about these topics. Use social media strategically. We have a power there to educate others, for them to know what issues are impacting me and therefore are impacting you and could impact others. So let's have those conversations, invite others, ask the question, have you registered? Are you ready? Like I do that at work. I kid you not. So I encourage others to do it because it's the only way that we're going to make a difference, and we're going to ensure that our communities, our people, we stay afloat, stay relevant, and produce the change that we need for our own lives. And we're here. So let's make it a good ride.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, ladies. I think we can continue this, but we fear saying what we believe in sometimes in spaces where we feel we may be judged, or maybe it may hurt our professional career. But our women's rights are our rights, period. I don't care what you believe in. My rights, anything that's going on with my body is my right. And anyone that believes otherwise is not in line with my view or with your view, period, end of subject. So we need to be smart about those things because we've always voted. I think our community has always voted lesser of two evils, right? That's been the mindset. Growing up, it was just like lesser of two evils, lesser of two evils. I hear that all the time, lesser of two evils. But now it's really whatever you believe in. It really is who is aligned with your values, and the other stuff we can work on along the way. And maybe you can raise your hand and start going after presidential things and going after opportunities that matter and saying, you know what, I want to make a difference at a higher scale. Who do I need to speak to? How do I connect with my local councilman, my local senator? How do I get in spaces that matter, that can help me get to where I believe I can make the most impact? And I believe that's the most important thing. And we need to support each other in those things.
And say it. Yeah, say it. You'll find the support. This is the perfect example. You'll find support here. So let's go for it. Let's change the world together. It's the only way.
Connect. Everyone in this space now knows each other. It takes a woman being asked 7 times to run for office. So if you ever want to run for office, run for office, run for office.
Save time. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. And we will support you. We got your back, right? It's like, we're here. Don't feel like that's one of the things of United Latinas in the beginning. It's like, we need to find Latinas that want to get into those spaces, because how do we make change in wealth, in business, in anything? Really, we need to have positions in the places that matter, and that's in politics. So we need to make moves. And if you are afraid to run, but thinking of running, reach out and build your community, because you will find the support that's needed, because we need more Latinas in places that matter, because we are the solution drivers. We're empathetic, we're smart, we're savvy, we got a lot to give, and we will make some noise. So
let's make some noise together.
Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. This has been great.
Thank you. All right, so we are going to be moving to our next break, which is not going to be me. I'm going to introduce our next spotlight presenters, who are going to announce the winners of the Extraordinary Latinas Award. So if you guys have been waiting for the award announcements, it is time. So I'm going to bring up Heidi Romer and Lou. Where are you? Right here. All right, ladies, I am going to kick it off to you. It's up to you.
Good afternoon, ladies.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, everyone. What an incredible day it is to celebrate the extraordinary achievements of Latinas who lead with courage, purpose, and an unwavering commitment to uplifting others. Today, we are here to honor Latinas who embody strength, integrity, and a dedication to making a lasting impact in their communities. Each of them is a beacon of hope and a true inspiration.
That's right, Heidi. These awards aren't just about acknowledging success. They're about celebrating the heart, the passion, and the power behind each of these Latinas. They're game changers, the everyday sheroes who push boundaries, break barriers, and inspire us all to reach higher. Let's get started with our first award of the day, the Amplifying Voices Award.
All right. The Amplifying Voices Award is given to Latina leaders who constantly uplift others by making their voices heard. These women are intentional in promoting the work and accomplishments of others, ensuring that credit is given where it is due. They know that by amplifying the voices around them, they improve equity, inclusion, and the opportunities available to everyone in their community.
These women are passionate, driven, and understand that true leadership comes from raising others up. Their dedication to empowering the voices of others has created ripple effects of change in their industries, their networks, and beyond. It is an honor to announce this year's Amplifying Voices Award winners.
Woo!
Winners
Mila, here we go. And the winners are Marcia Moreno, president and founder of And More Consulting. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Up next, we have Rosa Beltri, Chief Executive Officer and President of Ohio Alliance to End Sexual Violence. Congratulations. And we have Tamika Leche Morales, President of the Autism Project. Congratulations. Let's cheer these extraordinary Latinas for their extraordinary contributions in amplifying voices.
Amazing, amazing. Next, we have the Connecting Community Awards. This award recognizes Latinas who are masters at bringing people together. They don't just create networks, they build bridges of trust and of opportunity that allow others to thrive. These leaders make meaningful connections that open doors and pave the way for future success of others, always working with the goal of making an impact on those around them.
Wow. Wow, Mila. Okay, their passion for connecting others and building authentic, supportive relationships is what makes them stand out. Whether it's through making a crucial introduction, offering support, or simply creating a space where everyone can grow, these women truly embody the spirit of community.
We are so excited to announce this year's winners of the Connecting Community Awards. Drum roll, please. Carla de la Cruz Davila, President of the Wellstorm, Inc. Congratulations, Carla. Up next, Karen Avila, founder of AG Signing Services, LLC, and Senior Internal Auditor at Comerica Bank. And Dr. Trina Nurse, Resources Specialist at Fordham University. Congratulations to these incredible Latinas for all that they do to connect others and create a powerful community.
Wow. Fordham University is in the Bronx, so, All right, and now for our final award of the day, the Empowering Latina Award. This award celebrates Latinas who lead with integrity, share their power, and lift other Latinas along the way. These are the women who encourage others to shine by recognizing their strengths, valuing their uniqueness, and sharing their knowledge generously.
Truly, these ladies are leaders who inspire positive change by empowering those around them, creating pathways for success, and nurturing the growth of the next generation of Latina leaders. Their dedication to advancing others is a testament to their character and heart.
It is our privilege to announce the winners of this year's Empowering Latina Award. Get ready. First up is Adriana Ocampo Sr., owner of TIA, Transcend, Influence, Ascend. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Adriana.
Right? Next, we have Jacqueline Ruiz, CEO of Fig Factor Media. Congratulations. And we have Monica Marquez, co-founder and chief learning officer of Beyond Barriers. Congratulations to everybody.
Please join us in celebrating these powerful and empowering Latina leaders.
Guys, amazing, amazing. This is awesome, guys. Thank you so much for presenting. We have amazing winners, and you will be sent your certificate after this at some point within the next day or so. But thank you so much, and thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Lou, for sharing. And we were blessed to have you.
Thank you. I had one more thing to say, if that's okay.
Yes,
Today,
absolutely.
All right, as we celebrate not only their achievements, but the communities they've built, the voices they've amplified, and the doors they've opened for others. They are proof that when one Latina shines, we all shine.
Absolutely. Don't we want to like support our sisters and like see ourselves in them? So like this is beautiful and this is what it's about, because when we realize that there is not about competition, it's about when people win, when we elevate the community as a whole, we will certainly achieve more things together. So thank you, Heidi, and thank you, Ludmila.
Congratulations to all of today's winners and to all the Latinas who were nominated. Thank you for being an inspiration to us all.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So we are moving things along to our next panel. I'm going to bring up our people, and one of them was one of the awardees. So congratulations, Tamika.
Hold on. I'm so excited. I wasn't expecting that, but I'm really, really excited to be in such phenomenal company. So many badass Latinas. I love it. Trailblazers.
We are. And you know what? Don't feel like I love Heidi because Heidi's a Boricua from New York. So we talk you tú también, that's right. And and I'm from Jersey originally. So there's a certain lingo and a certain language. Like, don't feel like I used to feel back in the day like, man, I think I talk to like gangster, right? A veces, right? Or I can be that way, right? I know how to, I've been in executive level environments for a very long time, but we can be that way. And we feel like we need to not be a certain way to fit in certain spaces. Pero sometimes we have conversations with important people or people at high levels, and they will cuss and they will talk and they will be like, I get you,
Girl, you are preaching to the choir. Everybody who knows me, which there's a lot of people on here who do, know that I am so unapologetic about the language I use, how I use it. You know what? I'm so passionate that, sometimes the words just help me bring that passion to light. So I'm with you. Amen.
Yes. Well, welcome to both of you. We are going to be talking about entrepreneur and business as an asset, right? We talk about wealth, we talk about so many things, but many of us are entrepreneurs here, and many of you have small businesses, or many of you are thinking about starting a small business. And we believe that is a great and critical path to wealth building is entrepreneurship and business. So with both of you here who have your own businesses, have your own spaces, we want to digest that, right? How do we achieve that? How do we talk about that? Many of us have been in environments where job security has always been the safest place, or the safest path, as we've been told, get a good job, something that's with the government or something that pays good, and quédate ahí for 50 years. But I think we're way better than that today. I think we realize who we are is really way more than that. So I want to start the conversation, and I want to start with you, Kirk, on this conversation. Is we've grown up in those environments where you mentioned before in the imposter mindset, right? How do we shift our mindset to really embrace entrepreneurship as an equally valuable and important path to financial security and to freedom?
Well, I want to thank Tamika for dropping the badass on there so I can drop the badass. It's realizing that Latinos and Latinas, we're all badasses. All right, first and foremost. And it's coming to that realization is that our Latino voices carry value in and of itself. The 200%er was used here. We're a little extra. We provide more, but we can't lose the thought of el calor latino ese que estamos aquí. And I'm the first one to really start Spanglish, right? That connection of being a Latino and a Latina, it's a bond that really should help elevate us past that imposter syndrome, really help elevate that entrepreneur mindset. And first and foremost, we have tenemos muchas boricuas aquí, el ay bendito, el ay Dios mío, ¿verdad? We have to eliminate, estamos en la lucha, eliminate that mindset, correct? Estamos en el éxito, no en la lucha ya, ¿verdad? And it's changing that mindset from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of abundance, really abundance. Do you embody that? Do you live it on a daily basis? I wish that me, the 50-year-old me, I know I don't look 50, pero the 50-year-old me could go back to the 28-year-old me when I was the first Latino to anchor in English in ESPN history and empower myself to be more Latino. Because yes, I would drop a little Spanglish on the air, and I was the first one. And man, was I marginalized. And I had to fight to be Latino, right? I had to fight to be that authentic Venezuelan immigrant. And on a daily basis, it was in that corporate ESPN room where I was second guessed. I was marginalized. I was told not to do it. I said, no, I have to do it. I'm the first one. I'm representing. No one knew that Big Papi, David Ortiz, was Black until I started screaming Dominicano when he hit a home run. So it's owning that, right? It's realizing that look how far we've come from that 2003 when I was that first Latino to anchor in English in ESPN history to now. Now I get people reaching out to me. Can you be authentically you? Can you do the Spanglish thing? When I was told, don't be that Spanglish guy. Sound white, look white, right? Now we provide more. We provide authenticity. We've talked about the numbers, 3.7 trillion, fifth largest GDP. That carries weight to your voice, right? When I first heard that at the USHCC last year, man, I felt like our time has finally come. It's realizing that as an entrepreneur. And listen, I'm not telling you, listen, you spent 20 years working in the school and education sector, go open up a restaurant. No, you're not a giant leader in your industry in that sense. Yes, you got to do what you love, but you can't just do what you love and go in there without any past experience. You have to have past experience, past performance, right? Know that where your worth is may not be exactly what you love, but then try to realize, let's see, my value is in here, my superpower is here, I have this experience. How do I translate that into something I love, right? And I can go on and on, but I got to shut up. I got to let Tamika in here. Dale, badass.
I love it.
Now
I
we're
love
going to
it.
become best friends, Kirk.
Love it.
Tamika, would love to hear your insight on that. You know, when we think about that, when we think about our power, when we think about business as an asset, how can we leverage business to our benefit?
Well, I think, first thing is our cultural authenticity is a power, right? And we already know that we're not a monolith, right? We have this beautiful tapestry that when we come together, our authentic self, like we get to incorporate all of that in these wonderful products that we create, these services, our branding. And so I just like to take like a page out of like, Eva Longoria really put this on the map for everyone, but I had already heard him speak years before. I think about like Richard Montañez, right? He's the one who created the Flaming Hot Cheetos, right? For the Frito-Lay company, making so much money for PepsiCo, right? This brand that was really his Latino culture, he loved pique, right? He loved things hot and caliente, right? And so he was able to take what he's used to growing up, right? His chile, and bring that to the forefront so that these companies can make multi-millions. And then they divided that and made so many other products out of it. And so these brands, we are the competitive advantage for these brands. And we think about like even like MAC Makeup, who did a whole line just for Selena. And we think about just like there's so many products. Disney, one of their most biggest growing was Coco, right? Like there's so many, like we know who we are and we know what we can bring to the table. But we were raised to be calladita te ves más bonita. And you know what? No. Loud and proud. Like the louder, the prouder. Like it's back to what I think one of your people said before. We have to walk in with confidence, right? Yes. Those 5 C's are so important. And one of that is confidence. But how do you gain confidence? You gain that confidence by being really good in your craft, by really protecting your branding, by networking, by building those relationships, because it's all about the relationships, the reciprocity. When I think about how was I able to grow, my brick and mortar business or the nonprofit that I run, I got to be honest, it was all in the relationships. I scaled my profitability and made my operations efficient because I was able to work with other organizations. And honestly, being part of today's Inspired Latina, that whole movement, it was all of my Latinas who backed me up on my dream, right? Both as an entrepreneur, but then when I pivoted into nonprofit, that was really like the game changer. I was able to use all of their skill sets, whether it was a marketer, right? You know, Jackie Camacho Ruiz, whether it was someone who had all this experience in public speaking and branding. I used all of them. I went to them as a mentee, eager to learn, because that's what we do. And I had no problem asking, which so often we're afraid to ask. Don't be afraid. The worst someone can tell you is no. And my acting career really taught me a long time ago about how to take rejection, as hard as it was in the beginning, right? When I didn't get the roles after 50 million auditions, and, you know, but all of my past experiences has really helped me to take those relationships and those crafts and talents and really kind of own who I am, push back the imposter syndrome, and know that I have so much value and worth, and that I'm everyday learning, the constant, consummate learner. And I watch the people who are doing what I want to do, and I'm watching what they're doing and how they're doing it. And you know what? I'm making it my own. And that's how we get better.
Mira, Tamika, dovetailing on that is it's okay to speak with an accent. Don't feel bad that you have an accent. You know what that means? You speak more than one language. So you put those other people in their place. And that accent, that twang, that local sazon that you put in it, doesn't matter. Pero like, you can use it however you want. You're right. And let it be your empowered voice. Doesn't matter. Doesn't make you less. So long in this country, just because we had a little accent, that makes you less. No, that makes you more. That's part of what makes you more. That's part of your strong Latina voice. And embrace that accent and make it part of your persona, right? Make it part of your brand. Y de eso se trata.
Right. And, just be unapologetic. I step into every room. Part of that comes with age, to be honest. I'm not there yet, Kirk, 50, but I'm getting there. But no, let me just tell you, I've learned a lot from watching my older friends. I tap into them, all these generations. I'm learning from the younger generation, and I've learned from the older generation, and I'm eager to learn. And so, I'm just staying true and unapologetic, and language, style. I had a casting agent tell me once, and I was just talking about this with Jeanette, who won a prize earlier, that she was like, how do I make you look more your age? You look too young for your age. And I was like, do you know Latinas? Let me educate you, right?
Yeah.
So like I went in owning that. So anyway.
Yeah. I don't know how many Latinas can resonate with being told you look too young, or what? How old are you? Like 11, 12? I mean, that's hysterical. But the fact is, don't let that hinder your sense of self, of thinking how you show up and the credibility and experience that you have thus far. Because sometimes we're like, oh, I do, man. I feel like I'm young, and no, I'm inching towards Kirk's number, like, soon. So
you both don't look it. You both don't look it.
Yeah,
Who was it that
because we're
Dora wrote?
Latinas,
Brown don't break
brother.
down.
Because we're
You go,
Latinas.
Dora.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Dora wrote down, don't break down. I love that. Brown
I
don't
love
break
that.
down. That's great. That's great.
It's so true. It's so true. So like when it comes to like starting a business, we talked about the importance of having a business as an asset, the imposter mindset, right? Things that stop people. And also you guys mentioned something with organizations. So definitely be that squeaky wheel in your organizations of saying, hey, I have a solution for this, or maybe this can be done in a better way, and being an advocate. But if you're not being heard, you need to find spaces where you will be heard. Secondly, you mentioned Richard Montañez, and I love that story. At the same time, we don't want to support, we don't just want to, and maybe that's not, the just doesn't even belong there, but it's really aligning with organizations that are aligned with our values, right? And the reason why I say this is because there are organizations, we need to worry about climate change, guys. We need to worry about our water quality, guys. We need to worry about our air quality, guys, because these are issues that are important, and organizations are impacting those things in a negative way. So it's important that the organizations that we want to raise up, or the organizations that we want to align ourselves with, care about the air quality and are doing something about it if they're producing pollution, right? That they care and they're involved about the impact that their business is doing to the Latino community, and not just using us as a tool, not just using us as money. Like, hey, let's get in there. Let's get some Latino Spanish ads out there, and we're just gonna completely pulverize that community, right? We need to be smart about those things, especially as someone who is in marketing, right? It's really being smart about who we are aligning ourselves with, and are they doing good for our communities, or are they not doing good for our communities? And if they are polluting our air, and we need to be aware of this. We do your research. We need to be aware of these things when it comes to businesses.
You got to be down with the brown, right? You got to be down with the brown. If you're not down with the brown, there's the door onto the next one, right?
I love it. I love it. So true. So true. All right. So guys, we're getting close to wrap up here, but I want to ask you guys to share like your last bits of like, how can, what's your message to someone who is thinking about starting a business and needs resources or access to certain things? Like, what's your best advice to help more Latinas and Latinos, right, start businesses in a smart way?
Oof, there's so much. I'll tell you the story of how, and it's all about owning your worth, right? Own your worth. I didn't know mine. I was working for the CW as an executive producer and the host of a show. The only thing black or brown about it was me. And I didn't like that. And then they asked me to train the rest of the corporation's other minority, not minority, but lifestyle entertainment shows. A Scripps Corporation, they have like 30 something lifestyle entertainment shows. And they're like, how do you do what you do with only a team of 3? I was like, well, do you have anybody else who's a 2-time Emmy winner, ESPN anchor, New York anchor? Like, no, well, there's your answer. It's, first of all, we're Latinos and we work harder, better, faster, smarter. And second of all, none of them have that experience. And they go, oh, can you go train the rest of the 30 something stations nationwide? And I go, sure, if there's a change in my compensation or title. No, you're just a corporate, you're already a corporate employee. It'll be part of your regular duties. I said, wait. You just told me that I'm out producing teams of 10 and 12. How do you think I do that? I bust my ass. Why? Because I'm a badass, right, Tamika? Because I bust my ass. And then my wife, La Bori, me dice, mira, nene, you're not knowing your value. Don't give away your talent and your secret sauce for free. I quit 2 days later and I launched Sizzle TV. Sizzle TV free on Roku, Samsung, and LG. But what do I do there? I tell black and brown stories. I tell Latino stories. I tell powerful and impact stories, because I wasn't going to give away my secret sauce for me. If I'm going to go and train 30-something people for a huge corporation, espérate un momento, time out. That's when the light bulb went off, right? I can go do this on my own. Más sabe el diablo que viejo que por diablo. I went and did it on my own, right? So that's the big walkway. But then when I did that, I did what? I reached out to other Latinos. Use your network. Reached out to Fox, a Fox C-level suite. Oh yeah, bro, I've been a corporate anchor my entire life. What do I do now? How do I get back to those corporate doors to knock on them? He goes, become an NMSDC member. And I'm like, NMO what? I go, get yourself certified. NMSDC.org is one. WeBank is another one. Latinas in here, get yourself WeBank certified. And then you create not only here at United Latinas, but also you create a WeBank community, go to their conferences. And it's really powerful and impactful. And then you start connecting with other people who have the same mindset. Once I stopped, not owning my own worth, I started recognizing other people who are my level, right? I was 1% in what I did. Not everybody makes it at ESPN on that talent level, right? Know your worth and then recognize when somebody is on your level. Then connect with those people on a real Latino level, right? Latina level. And then it just all flourishes and it all goes into place, right, Tamika?
Amen. Absolutely. And I think that as someone who had a full-time job and also had a brick and mortar business and was out there going on auditions and acting in plays and doing commercials, this mindset that we can only be good at one thing, I like that's so old school. We're so beyond that kind of outdated thinking. I think that we've already shown the world. Look at Eva Longoria. Look at everything that she's doing. She's doing business. She's doing movie producing. She's doing acting. She's doing it all. That's just one example, right? We are like 4-dimensional. We're not only good at one thing, we're good at so many things, right? But make sure that that, we're at this brink because of social media and because of TikTok and because of movie storylines and all this, that we can just go out there and take risks, right? And lots of the times I know that it's fear that holds us back, fear of instability, fear of how are we going to look in the eyes of others if we don't make it, fear of, that financial security and all that, right? And sometimes that really stops us from doing what we want to do. Pero with that being said, right, it's when you know what you're good at or what you want to be good at, and you invest in the time in being the expert and doing what you love and getting that experience and knowing that you really are owning your worth, that you can absolutely have a full-time job and start this entrepreneur business, and making sure that you're making money before you take the leap to do it 100%. So many people are taking the leap because they're really good at their talent, and here's the problem: they don't have the business mindset. They forgot about the taxes. They forgot about the accounting. They forgot about the things that go into running a business that truly makes a business successful and profitable, and paying themselves and paying Uncle Sam, and where if you have a job and then you want to start that entrepreneur mindset, right? You start out small. You start out where you at least have some stability with your income. You have health insurance, you have retirement benefits, right? You're paying yourself first. You got 401k, you got all this other stuff that you can at least start your side hustle and see how that side hustle is going. And when you see that you're getting to a point that, you know what, I can make this work, that's when you take the plunge. Don't take the plunge, right, before you're ready, which I think, we see all these influencers who are talking people up, and I think that's great. But at the end of the day, I think you have to really you have to own your worth and know your worth, and you have to invest. And then you have to really think about, what's my value? What do I find valuable as well, though?
Correct.
Do I want to, we always put 110%. As women, we leave ourselves for last. The gas tank is empty. Después del trabajo, después of the entrepreneur, taking care of our children, taking care of our men, taking care of the cleaning the house. There's nothing left in our gas tank for us. And we leave self-care behind. And so set those boundaries, learn how to say no to what is not driving your ultimate goal, but it starts with backward design. What is your big, fat ass dream? This dream that is so bigger than you, right? And is everything that I'm doing aligning to that big dream? And if it's not, learn to say no.
Wait,
Mic drop, a million.
And one more on that, because once you do make that jump, right, and you become an entrepreneur, don't start off small. Start off big. If you have, like for me, I was a 2-time Emmy winner, ESPN anchor, and then one of my side hustles is I'm a corporate Zoom consultant. I teach delivery and presence and performance to corporations on Zoom. You know what my first call was? I was like, I didn't go, let me start selling small. No, I called my buddy at Google. Oh yeah, bro, I'm up doing this. Oh, would you teach me something? I taught him something, and I can teach you all something right now if you want, really quick. But I developed 3 practical tips for performance. And guess who my first client was? Google. And I trained 3,000 Google employees in one sitting. It didn't go small, right? I knew my value, right? Own your worth. You have to own your worth. Sit back, know your value, and lead with that value. I always lead with the value. No matter what you do in any entrepreneurial endeavor, is you have to provide value. Can't be oh, by the way, I launched a business. Can I have some money? Can you get me on as a client? No, with the value. What is your value proposition?
Yep, I love that. I love that. Thank you guys so much. I know we have our next speaker that is, we're over time, pero you guys are awesome. And this is what it's about. It's about building these relationships, having these conversations, and building more things. So thank you, Tamika. Thank you, Kirk. And
thanks for having us.
Viene Millie, otra body. Dale, Millie. Hit him up.
Dale. This was amazing. Thank you.
All right, gracias, Tamika. Bye, ladies. I'm
Thank
hanging
you.
on, but bye.
Hi, Millie. Thank you so much for being here. This is we're on fire. We're getting close to the end, but we have you to take us home for us to close this just hype of energy. And I want to start with, you've had an amazing career. You've been unapologetically breaking barriers, owning your worth, and built a strong voice, not only for yourself, but for others. So I'm leaving it up to you to take us through to how did you do it, so that we can then take a page from your life and move forward.
So thank you, Ileana, and everyone for having me, and also for these amazing speakers. I love the stories. So candidly, and it's interesting. I've been on Wall Street my entire career. I've actually went to school at night, so I've been at Wall Street probably younger than most. And I was always the only, right? It didn't matter. I think that people get caught up in the how was it to be the only Latina or Latino in the room. It was about how about like I was the only woman. And I had to wrap my head around that relatively quickly. The one thing that I've learned operating in a non-Latino world, and all these folks here, I feel your energy, and we're having drinks, I'm with you. You can be bold, but you don't have to be escandalosa, right? So what do I mean about that? Many Latinos are not extroverts. And so in a place of work, you could be your true authentic self, but where it's going to be a different arena than when you are like on a panel like this or in this conference where everybody's Latino, we get the nuance, we get all of that. So I think that there is a place for being yourself because people get that, well, did you blend in? Of course I blend in. I work in corporate America. I can't come in, back in my clubbing disco days, I'm not going to come in dressed for a bank the way I would be dressed to go out to Webster Hall, right? There is a difference. But nonetheless, authentic me always showed up. And what did bold mean for me? My parents instilled in me such a work ethic that I knew, right, that I had to, I don't want to say outwork, but in a very smart way, I had to work harder. There weren't that many women. There weren't, Latinos in a factor in. I had already had to resolve myself to, there isn't going to be another Latino. And I got rid of that distraction. And getting rid of the distraction is almost like accepting something, right? Whatever you have to accept, you come in bold because you have to sort of prove yourself and work hard. And you're working with smart people. And I think that for me, it almost was a blessing not to be in an environment where everybody was Latino because I had to, in a way, be as smart or if not smarter. My Latinidad came in a way that I think that people minimize about being bilingual. I spoke Spanish, although I'm born in the United States, I spoke Spanish first. I started school, I had no English. Let me just get some water, please. Apologies, I got a cold today. But my Latinidad came in my ability to translate, my ability to read the room, my ability to live in a bicultural world. I gotta say, because I would be, things would be happening at home and I had to kind of say it in school and translate it, or things would be happening in school and I would have to go home and translate it to my family, that I was always translating, right? Excuse me. And I was always translating and it really helped me. I could read people's behaviors. I can see when people were lost. I can see when I had buy-in. So for me, I can't want to call myself the silent Latina. It wasn't that I wasn't Latina, right? I've always been Latina and I've always showed up as a Latina. But that cultural nuance to live in two cultures at the same time, candidly, was my superpower. And it has been something that I have used time in and time out throughout my career.
I think that's you talk about so many important things in terms of how do we find that fine balance between embracing who we are, not only from a Latina perspective, but also just all of our intersectionality, right? How all of our identities and what makes us who we are and those expectations. And I moved here 13 years ago, and I didn't realize that I was a Latina until 5 years ago and what that meant because of these perspectives and these expectations of what others have told you or what you've seen that they should be. And I think that happens to many of us because once we find it, once we're able to identify that, we can run with it. But there's this weird in between where you don't really know that you're not showing up in your authentic self and you're trying so hard to be what other people expect to you, and that's holding us back. So how do we create that broader narrative? How do we shift those that thing that's happening from those traditional definitions of success that are hindering us from moving forward?
You know, it's a tough one, right? Because what's the Latino mindset? You come here, you put your head down and you do the work, and somehow, you know, some divine intervention is going to happen, and ta-da, right? And it worked, I would say, probably for the Latinos that came to this country or starting here in the 60s and maybe early 70s. But that shift that's definitely a shift, right? More and more of us are getting educated, and then there's more and more people just in the workforce, and as technology and the globalization is all happening. I know that this is hard for many of us, but you always have to believe in yourself more than anybody else believes in you. And again, you don't have to show up escandalosa, because I hate to give that advice. Like, my sister's very shy, but my sister, there's no one in the family more Latina than my sister. It just oozes out of her. But she's a shy person. She's not going to come in. And what I think that it's important is that don't be the center of attention in the room, but be the center of attention in the room. So what do I mean? I mean, again, back to the escandalosa, some of us can do it, and we're in industries where it's great and it works. But if I showed up the way I would be conversing with my Latina sisters, which I just did a couple of hours ago, I think that everybody's face would just drop and stare at me. And I am not really reading the room because I'm being me, but I do have to adapt, right? I do have to adapt. So I always say, be you, because you know, somebody asks you, what are you, Latina, and you know, whatever, what do you do for Christmas, you know, celebrar los Reyes, whatever it is that defines you. Don't be the show in the room, but be the show of the room. Don't be the person that tries to stand out, but stand out in the room. And we actually do it with this, right? With your intellectual capital. No one can take that away. You know how many of us heard about getting an education or getting a trade or your experience, and your parents would tell you, I know my parents did, no one will ever take away your intellectual capital. Own that. It's yours. And don't get caught up, because I've gotten this my entire life. Lucky is the word. I think Ileana, you and I have had this conversation. If I walked across the street and found $5, I'm lucky. But if I worked for those $5, am I lucky or am I fortunate? I put in the work and I earned the $5. And so I've been told everything is, you're lucky because you walk in the room and you look like you, or you're lucky because you're on Wall Street, or you're lucky because you're married fulano de tal, or you're lucky because you live where you live, or you lucky. I'm always, my kid got into a great school and you're lucky. You know, it must have been under affirmative action. Well, no. I'm lucky again was the dollar, and here it is. I found it today. Okay, and it's in my pocket. That's lucky. That's lucky. But when you've earned your seat, when you're doing the work, that's not luck. And I am grateful for the abundance of my life. But when people say to me, like, it's so offensive to me, candidly, it's like, no. I earned that seat. And because I've earned it, and I know what my parents went through so that I could be where I am today, there is no way that someone's going to say to me, you're lucky, or you don't belong in this room. If I walk in that room's mine. Full stop. No distractions. Full stop.
Absolutely. And I think you bring something very important. We have the same, like everybody else. It doesn't matter what background, what color, what identity, what race. Like, we own the exact same things, and we deserve the exact same things as everybody else. But I think that mindset starts, to your point, with us, with believing that we are just the same, just as smart, just as valuable, just as badass, right? Like Kirk and Tamika were saying, and it starts with us. So That is amazing. And I think that goes down to owning our worth and believing in that. So what are your final words of advice to everybody that's still here with us today so that we then kick off this day with choosing to own our worth?
So look, I actually wrote a couple of bullet points to keep it on message. So give me a minute to scroll up between my multiple screens technology. But here's a couple of things that, own it, don't be lucky, be fortunate, and elevate other Latinos. And this is a big pet peeve of mine as of late, that people forget other Latinos, that people don't recommend other Latinos, that you can't be happy for another Latina, right? That's a big mistake. That's a very, very big mistake. It is really, really important to be intentional. It is really, really important that we elevate others as we rise. And I'll tell you why. I think that our community is expecting for someone to come. There's somebody that you're waiting for, something, some miracle, some magic. Latino GDP is $3.6 trillion. So that's going to speak for itself. Or, they're going to see that we're going to be the majority workforce. That's going to speak for itself. It's not. It's up to us. And it pains me in my heart when I see that someone doesn't elevate another Latino. I was asked the other day for someone was looking for talent. I knew 5 people that I can recommend out of the gate that could go in and step into that role. You know why I know that? Because I get to know people. And you know what that does? You never know where those 5 people I recommended end up. You never know. Even if you're competing with them, know who you compete with. And I'll tell you why. There's a phone call. It's made to you. I get them all the time. People ask the most interesting questions of me. And you recommend that other Latina that you compete with. They do the same thing at another bank, or you name the vertical. Here's what happens. You did them a solid. You take them out of the workforce. They take the job. 2 things can happen. One day you may work for them. Another time, it could be that now you open and give yourself space, right? For yet a better opportunity, A, because you took that person out, and B, because the universe will reward you for being good. So Latinos, if you're waiting for someone to come, you're going to be waiting for a long time. We have to lock arms and do this for one another. And when people ask, how come this community? How come that community? They all give each other business. You know what? We need to do the same. If we have to be the change that we want to see. It starts with us because no one is coming. No one is coming. No matter how much the numbers are stacked on our side, no one is coming for us. So you have to do it yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And this is the starting point. Thank you so much, Mili. Thank you so much, everybody. It was 3 hours and it feels like it was a blink of an eye. It went so fast, but just so many gems of truth, of passion, of purpose, of action, of wisdom. Own your worth. We want to bring all of our amazing speakers that are still here. If you can turn on your cameras so that we can thank you, please. I'm going to start turning cameras on here. Awesome. I'm also start putting our board here. Thank you, everybody. We can't thank you enough for everything that that you've done, truly.
And I want to add, if you take a group picture of us and tag United Latinas and tag anyone, you will be entered to win another special prize because you've made it to the end. So
absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody. This was energizing, empowering, and to what everybody's saying, believe in yourself, support each other. We had over 100 people today here. So save the chat, connect with each other because we're changing it. 2025, we're going to make a difference. Thank you, everybody, so much for everything. We'll be sharing all of the resources in a thank you email after, well, not today, but definitely in the next couple of days. And I don't know what else to say other than thank you. I don't know if anybody else here has any more to say.
Don't forget
Thank
to
you,
vote. Don't
everyone.
forget to vote. Don't forget to vote. Please, let's make a difference. It's our time.
I agree with that.
Yes.
Go ahead and vote. But in terms of entrepreneurial mindset, once you get to like a really powerful mindset, you realize you control your own future. Doesn't matter who's in the front office, right? Because you've surrounded by yourself with the right ecosystem and you're untouchable. You made a tough one. Dale, vamos para allá.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies, for doing this. It's so important what you guys do,
Thank you so
United
much.
Latinas. Let's stay united.
Yes.
Connect,
Tamika, Amelia, how
connect.
about your board?
Thank you, Sandra.
Awesome.
Thank you, Eliana. This was an amazing event. Good to meet all of you.
I love
Thank
it.
you,
I love
everybody.
it. I
Have
love
a
it.
wonderful day wherever
Wait,
in the
Lizette's
world you
joining
are.
us,
Oh,
so we got to take a
Oh,
picture.
one
yes.
more picture?
Yep.
One more
Yep.
picture.
Who's taking it?
I don't know. I'm snapping away. But if you guys take a picture,
Oh, and Rosh
and
Hashanah starts at sunset today. So Shana Tova to our Jewish Latino friends as well who might be
That's a good point.
here.
Shabbat Shalom.
Sana Tova.
Thank you, everybody.
yay.
Éxito y éxito, recuerden, en el éxito, no en la lucha. Bye.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Have a
Adios.
wonderful day.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you,
us.
guys.
Love you, Lisa.
We're going to leave it rolling for a second.
Yes, we are.
Woohoo.
Yay.
Yay.
And
That was awesome. Oh my gosh, you
one
guys
more.
are still here with us. Another one next year. We got our 5th annual. So thank you
Oh,
guys for a
yes.
beautiful day and a
We were gonna
beautiful
say
moment.
that.
And we have some more winners. We're going to announce them in our social media. So be sure that you're following our social media and then tag us in pictures y cualquier cosa that you have and share little nuggets because it allows us to see, number one, you share your knowledge with everyone else who maybe wasn't able to attend, but it's spreading the importance and the criticality of Latinas in leadership. And that starts with being around other leaders and practicing public speaking, which we do as because we believe in it. We believe Latinas need to own their voice. Latinas need to make sure that you feel comfortable sharing and doing some of these things. Maybe some of you will end up on here in our next conferences because we need you. We need your voice. We need your thoughts. So I am glad that everybody enjoyed it, and I think it was a beautiful day. We got a lot more events coming up this month. So
Yep.
stay tuned.
Awesome. It's a wrap, Sandra. One more is in the books. Okay, I'm stopping the recording now.
Yeah, stop the recording.
Awesome. Are we
Oh
stopping?
wait, but we're still live on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I'm
You guys could always watch the replay on YouTube or share it with a friend and encourage them. And that's it.
No, I can't stop the live. Okay.
No,
we're
the
done.
YouTube's gonna keep going. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys. Be well. Have a blessed day. Own your worth because you are freaking amazing and divine and powerful and limitless. And that's how we change the world. Gracias por
Awesome.
todo.